Chapter 380. There was no necessary connection between playing golf and discussing business, but Yi Kun wanted to talk to Charlotte in a condescending and domineering manner. Therefore, he wanted to join in Xiaoxian and Charlotte's game to make Charlotte lose face, lose his drive, and lose confidence. This was a kind of power that a national boss had over a private boss. He didn't need to please Charlotte. He wanted to crush Charlotte like a road roller. He wanted to crush Charlotte. Not only that, he wanted Charlotte to be obedient. As for Xiaoxian, his purpose in playing with Charlotte was even simpler. He just wanted to see Charlotte make a fool of himself and make Charlotte lose face. The 30 million had already been transferred to Shintu Tianin's account. The winner of the game would receive the 30 million. The three men who were about to compete each had their own thoughts. Shintu Tianin and Mu Jianfeng watched from the side, each with their own thoughts. Okay, let's start. Mu Jianfeng said, "This isn't a professional competition, so there's no need for too many rules. Who's going first?" Charlotte said, "Before we officially start, let me try it out. I played a few times in Germany before, but it's been a long time. I need to get a feel for it." Mu Jianfeng nodded, "No problem." And Xiaoxian smiled and said, "Mr. Xia, when did you play golf in Germany? You really can't judge a book by its cover." "Oh, right. Is it a German construction site?" "It's a German prison," Charlotte said. "Prison again." Hearing the word prison, and Xiaoxian's face darkened. Charlotte placed a golf ball on the table and swung to the nearest hole. The golf ball rolled to another place. "Ha ha!" And Xiaoxian laughed again. This level was not even considered an amateur. Yi Kun also laughed. "Mr. Xia, I don't think you've played golf before. It's okay. You can take the money back. We'll just play. In the future, practice more and you'll be able to improve." In the face of Xiaoxian and Yi Kun's mockery, Charlotte appeared very calm. He placed another ball on the table and then fiercely swung his club towards the furthest hole. This time, his swing, force, and direction had all improved significantly. Although the golf ball still flew somewhere else and didn't fall into the hole, the distance between the two was not very far. Then, Charlotte played 2 more strokes. These 2 shots were purely aimless. One of the golf balls flew into a puddle of water, while the other flew over a grassy slope. They couldn't even be seen anymore. And Xiaoxian and Yi Kun could not help but look at each other, unable to hold back their laughter. In the eyes of the two, Charlotte's skill level was simply not up to par. It would be very easy for them to win the competition. Both of them couldn't wait to see Charlotte humiliated. Shintu Tianin walked to Charlotte's side and said worriedly, "Lei, no one can learn golf well in a few minutes, let alone play at a high level. Otherwise, I think we should just forget about it." Charlotte smiled. "It's okay. I still have confidence in these 2 amateurs." Shintu Tianin, this sentence almost made Xiaoxian and Yi Kun choke. A person who had never played golf before actually said they were amateurs. Charlotte said, "Old Mu, I'm ready. You can start. I'll let the 2 amateurs start." Hearing this, Mu Jianfeng's face was a little embarrassed. Yi Kun was a student. Charlotte's words were obviously not giving him face. "Umph." Mu Jianfeng snorted. "Yi Kun, then you start. Play well. Don't let Mr. Xia, a professional player, look down on you." Yi Kun sneered. He prepared a little and then swung his club to hit the ball. The golf ball fell on the grass and rolled into the hole. The caddy ran over and picked up the golf ball, and Xiaoxian also walked over and swung the ball. The golf ball he hit flew closer to the hole and rolled into the hole. This shot, he actually played better than Yi Kun. The 2 of them stood at the side and looked at Charlotte. They had a gloating look on their faces as they waited to watch a good show. Charlotte walked over, swung the ball, and hit the ball. Shintu Tianin closed her eyes. She didn't dare to see the result of Charlotte's shot. However, after a few seconds, she didn't hear anyone speak. It was strangely quiet. She couldn't help but open her eyes. She saw the caddy run out of the hole and reach out to pick up the golf ball that Charlotte hit. She was instantly stunned. It was also a hole-in-one shot, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kun couldn't laugh anymore. They were waiting to see Charlotte make a fool of himself. However, Charlotte's shot was more elegant and clean than any of them. The golf ball didn't even roll on the grass and flew straight into the hole. Mu Jianfeng also had a strange expression on his face. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Actually, whether it was Shinda Tianin, Mu Jianfeng, or an Xian and Yikuan, none of them knew that the few shots that Charlotte had just tested were actually for him to learn how to play golf. His learning was no ordinary learning. His left eye could measure the distance between the golf ball and the hole. His brain could calculate the speed and resistance of the golf ball in the air. His body could adjust to the most coordinated degree. In short, before he hit a ball, his brain would calculate everything like a calculator. He could even simulate the trajectory of the golf ball in the air in his mind. His brain would calculate the result, and his left eye would lock onto the part that needed to be hit. The golf ball that he hit would fly into the hole like a guided missile. With this kind of ability, let alone in Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan, these two amateurs, even if Tiger Woods would have fight Xia Lei, he would not even be able to find his direction. The difference was quickly revealed. On the second hole, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan couldn't make a hole in one shot. Both of them had to hit 2 shots before entering the hole. On the other hand, Charlotte stood in front of the tee and made a shot. The golf ball flew into the hole with a whoosh. It didn't even touch the grass. The third hole, the fourth hole, the fifth hole, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan needed more and more shots, but Charlotte was still as barbaric as ever. No matter how long the hole was, he would always make a hole in one shot. The spectators were dumbfounded. Most of the spectators knew a few professional players. They also knew the level of professional players. However, compared to Charlotte, those professional players were like amateurs. And Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan's feelings at that moment could only be described with one word: King Dog. It was another hole in one shot. Charlotte spread his hands. Mr. and Mr. Yi, this is boring. It's a waste of time. Why don't I finish all the holes and you guys chase after me? How about that? Competing with you guys is not difficult at all. I don't even want to play anymore. He directly slapped them in the face. He didn't give them any face at all. And Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan's faces were extremely gloomy. If they had the ability to beat Charlotte, they would probably rush up and beat up Charlotte. However, this fantasy would never become reality. But at this moment, Xia Lei placed a golf ball on the table. He glanced at the furthest hole and then at the golf ball. He suddenly pulled out the golf ball, and the golf ball flew out with a whoosh. It drew a nearly straight line in the air and flew a distance of dozens of meters before plunging headfirst into the grass. There was no hole in one shot. However, the ball was only a few centimeters away from the furthest hole. The caddy's jaw dropped to the ground. Charlotte smiled and said, "I'm sorry. There are times when I need 2 shots to enter a hole, just like you guys." At that moment, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan wanted to die. In fact, Charlotte deliberately missed the shot. Was there a need to continue the competition? There was no need for that. If they continued, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan would only be humiliating themselves. Mu Jianfeng laughed dryly and tried to smooth things over. "Charlotte, I really couldn't tell that you're so good at golf. From what I see, with your ability, you can totally enter professional golf. You can get the highest honor." Charlotte said calmly, "Elder Mu, you're too polite. The competition is not over yet. Maybe Mr. N and Mr. Yi will surpass me." And Xiaoxian threw the club to the caddy. He had obviously given up the competition. Yi Kuan also threw the club to the caddy. He also laughed dryly. "Mr. Xia, I'm convinced of my loss. The prize money is yours." Xia Lei walked to the caddy's side and handed the club to him. The caddy looked at Charlotte gratefully because he could feel Charlotte's respect for him. "Charlotte, let's go have a cup of tea," Mu Jianfeng said. Yi Kuan said, "Well, I have a business to discuss with you. I had to postpone a very important meeting because of this business deal." This was simply the tone of a high-ranking person. It was overbearing. Charlotte said calmly, "Don't drink tea. I don't want to drink tea because my stomach is not feeling well recently. What business do you want to discuss with me? Just say it here. Your time is precious, and mine is also precious. If I knew that you wanted to discuss business with me, I would have gone to the movies with my friends." Yi Kuan's face suddenly changed. Hanwoo Weapons Company had already sent people to buy his military factory. They had even sent people to cause trouble. Charlotte did not need to be polite with Yi Kuan at all. Now he understood. Yi Kuan first sent people to the military factory to forcibly take a gun, so he did not have a gun to attend the small arms exhibition in Moscow. Then he invited him here for a negotiation. It could be said that he had evil intentions. If he didn't kick such a person, then he would be considered very restrained. Charlotte, why are you still so angry? Mu Jianfeng's old face was also a little embarrassed. The business that Yi Kuan wants to discuss with you is not the small business of processing spare parts that you accepted before. It can make you rich for a lifetime. Xiao Lei sneered, I am rich and powerful. Who do I need to be rich and powerful? You. Mu Jianfeng was also so angry that he could not speak. He obviously did not expect that Charlotte would not give him face. Yi Kuan said gloomily, Charlotte, are you not going to listen to what business I want to discuss with you? Charlotte said, we are all smart people. Even if you don't say it, I know that you are here for my military factory. Since you know, then give me a price. Yi Kuan's tone was very firm. Charlotte said, what if I don't sell it? Yi Kuan sneered, that is not up to you. Mu Jianfeng advised from the side. Charlotte, you have to think clearly. Would I still harm you? This matter is the same as when you sold us the machine tool. And the result? I don't need to tell you the result. Chapter 381. It would have been fine if Mu Jianfeng didn't mention the smart machine tool, but once it was mentioned, he couldn't help but get angry. Back then, he and Long Bing went to Germany and risked life imprisonment or even death to steal the smart machine tool technology from Joseph. After returning home, Shenzhou Industry Group couldn't produce a qualified smart machine tool, so he used his own hands to duplicate Joseph's smart machine tool. Just as he was looking forward to making a big deal out of this smart machine tool, Shenzhou Industry Group came again. They bought his machine tool as if they were the superior, and they didn't allow him to duplicate it. So be it, he actually thought it through. After all, he was contributing to the country's manufacturing industry, and he also received a considerable amount of money. At that time, he was in urgent need of money to expand his business. But now it was different. His business was on the right track, and the future was bright. How could he give away the fruit that was about to ripen like before? Unfortunately, Mu Jianfeng brought up the past again, and even wanted to duplicate the forceful purchase from last time. How could he not be angry? But before Charlotte could say anything, Yi Kuan interrupted again. Charlotte, it was a good thing that you could sell the smart machine tool to Shenzhou Industry Group. You contributed to the country. Now, Hanwha Weapons Company wants to buy your military factory, which is also a good thing. We are the true leaders in this industry. If we acquire your military factory, you will be able to earn even more money and credit for your hard work. Be quick, name a price. Be quick, name a price. This tone sounded like God, and Xiaoxian looked at Charlotte with schadenfreude. He seemed to know some inside information. Shinda Tianyin looked at Charlotte worriedly. She couldn't help with this kind of thing, nor could she interrupt. Are you done? After enduring for a long time, Charlotte finally spoke. If you are done, I will say something too. Just one sentence, not for sale. You better think it through. Yi Kuan was already showing signs of turning hostile. Charlotte laughed coldly. I have thought it through very clearly. Not for sale. Didn't you hear me? Who do you think you are? You could do whatever you want? Charlotte. Mu Jianfeng tried to smooth things over. I'll say this as a middleman. Don't think things are too simple. To be honest, I think highly of you, young man. I don't want you to go too far down the wrong path. If I don't sell my company, will I be walking on the wrong path? Charlotte looked at Mu Jianfeng. Elder Mu, I respect you, but that doesn't mean I have to listen to you. My position on this matter is very clear. You don't have to say anything more, lest we don't meet again in the future. Charlotte's meaning was clear. If you continue to help your student, Yi Kuan, persuade me, we won't even be friends anymore. Mu Jianfeng shook his head with a bitter smile. You're still so stubborn. Do you really want me to explain myself? Charlotte said, go ahead. Forget it. Yi Kuan, you do the talking. Mu Jianfeng didn't put down his pride in the end and left some leeway. Yi Kuan looked at Charlotte. His eyes were filled with anger. Charlotte, I'll make it clear. If you don't sell it to me today, your small military factory will be finished sooner or later. I have the ability to make sure you can't sell a single gun. I also have the ability to send people to inspect your factory every now and then. I can order you to stop business at any time. Also, as long as I say the word, all the technicians in your factory will come to work at Hanwoo Weapons Company. They will have your technology and come to our company to manufacture your products. At that time, how will you compete with us? These 3 points were like 3 knives. Any one of them could kill the Thunder Horse military factory, which was still in its infancy. What was worse was that Yi Kuan wasn't bluffing. He did have the ability to stab these 3 knives into the body of the Thunder Horse military factory one by one. Mu Jianfeng sighed. Xiao Lei sell it. I guarantee that Hanwoo Weapons Company will give you a price that you'll be satisfied with. You have the ability. You don't have to get involved in the military market. With the money, there are many things you can do. To put it bluntly, he wanted to drive Charlotte out of the market. Tang Yuan was right. How could a monopolized market allow a private entrepreneur to enter? Moreover, this private entrepreneur had the ability to overturn the few mountains in the military market. Sigh. Charlotte sighed. Now that you mention it, I'm very worried. All right, I'll name a price. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan couldn't help but look at each other. They couldn't hide the joy in their eyes, because they knew the value of the XL 2500. And Xiaoxian said in disdain, I thought you had some backbone. After saying so much and going around in circles, isn't it just to ask for more money? A construction worker is a construction worker. Charlotte pretended not to hear such mockery and only smiled. Mr. Xia, name your price. Yi Kuan smiled. 2 billion? Charlotte shook his head. 3 billion? Yi Kuan was already cursing in his heart. Charlotte still shook his head. Yi Kuan couldn't hold it in any longer. Mr. Xia, I'm not a fool. 3 billion is already the highest price I can offer. You should stop now. Xia Lei faintly said, the price you offered is far from what I expected. Add 2 zeros at the back, and it's more reasonable. Adding 2 zeros after 3 billion, it would be 300 billion. As soon as this price came out, Yi Kuan's expression changed. Charlotte, how dare you ask for such an exorbitant price? Charlotte sneered. No money? Why are you pretending to be a rich man if you don't have money? If you want to buy it, I won't sell it. You're forcing me to sell it. I named a price, but you can't afford it. Are you kidding me? Yi Kuan had never been teased like this before. Absolutely not. Charlotte was the first. Mu Jianfeng's expression didn't look good either, but he didn't say anything else. He could already see that Charlotte didn't plan to sell the Thunder Horse military factory. Mr. Yi, Charlotte said, you said that you have the ability to make my military factory close down. I believe that you have the ability to do so. But I believe in the laws of our country and the decision-makers of our country. They won't let people like you do whatever they want. Yi Kuan snorted coldly. You'll have to try to know, Charlotte said. In our country, no one can cover the sky with one hand, and you can't either. Let me tell you, I have a chance to go to Russia tomorrow. The XL 2500 sniper rifle will be a hit there. Don't say that I can't sell it. At that time, those who want to buy it will depend on my mood. Yi Kuan's face was gloomy, and he didn't speak. Charlotte continued, you said that you can let people check my military factory every now and then and make it close down for reorganization. Let me tell you, when the XL 2500 sniper rifle becomes the best sniper rifle in the world, the whole world will rush to report that China's military industry is finally proud. Do you still want to make things difficult for me at that time and make my military factory close down for reorganization? Let me tell you, the people above will trample you to death. Yi Kuan's face became even more gloomy. Charlotte said again, as for you saying that you can poach my workers at any time, I welcome it. As long as you give them a higher salary, I'm willing to make more money for them. My Rema group started from manufacturing machinery. Every worker is a mechanic. I now have nearly 2,000 workers. If you poach all of them, I'll give them a farewell party. Enough. Yi Kuan couldn't suppress his anger. Let's wait and see. Mu Jianfeng shook his head. Forget it. I'm leaving. You guys go and talk about your business. An old fox was indeed an old fox. Although he had been pressuring Charlotte just now, he had always maintained a certain degree of leeway. It was not to the extent of turning hostile. Just based on this point, it was not difficult to see that although Yi Kun was a student, he had not learned his skills well. Yi Kun pointed at Charlotte with his finger and left without saying anything. Just now. And Xiaoxian was still laughing at Charlotte, but now he couldn't laugh no matter how hard he tried. The aura and negotiation skills that Charlotte had displayed just now were not something that he, who was born with a silver spoon, could compare to. Charlotte's gaze shifted to Xiaoxian and said with a smile, "Mr. In, why don't we play another round and bet 200 million? Let's go." And Xiaoxian also left. The blonde Western man stared straight at Charlotte and left with Xiaoxian. Charlotte's gaze stopped on the Western man's back as he pondered. "I really couldn't tell." Shinta Tianin laughed out loud. "I thought you wouldn't be able to handle the pressure and sell your military factory. I didn't expect you to scold Yi Kun and drive him away. Do you know, if it were me, I would sell it for 5 billion. I think if you offered that price, Yi Kun would consider it." Charlotte shook his head. "Some things can't be bought with money. For example?" Shinta Tianin looked at Charlotte's eyes with interest. Charlotte said, "There are too many. I'll give you a simple example. The U.S.'s weapons technology is #1 in the world, and our foreign exchange reserves are #1 in the world. But can we buy the technology in the hands of the U.S.? You can't buy it no matter how much money you give us." Shinta Tianin was slightly stunned. She thought that Charlotte would talk about love and family, but she didn't expect Charlotte to use the U.S. as an example. Indeed, the current situation was that China used the same volume of gold to exchange for a U.S. fighter jet, but the U.S. didn't even care. Fu Mingmei interrupted with a smile. "Charlotte, I didn't know that you were quite patriotic. You can even talk about such big principles. However, you were so handsome when you taught that Yi Kun a lesson. I admire you." Shinta Tianin rolled her eyes at her. "Don't make trouble. I'm handsome, but can that solve the problem?" Fu Mingmei pouted, but secretly gave Charlotte a thumbs up. Shinta Tianin said, "Lei, I'm actually quite worried. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun are not ordinary people. They both represent powerful forces. Moreover, you're involved in the arms market. I don't even dare to think about that market. I'm worried that you'll encounter a lot of trouble in the future." Charlotte smiled. "The thing I'm least afraid of is trouble. If I'm afraid of them, I would have sold it just now. Why would I offend them? Since I dare to scold Yi Kun, I'm not afraid of him. This kind of person thinks he's infallible and is used to being unreasonable. Someone has to stand up and extinguish his arrogance." Shinta Tianin sighed. "Forget it. Let's not talk about this. You have a lot of things that worry me, but I can never persuade you." Charlotte said, "Aren't you the same? There are some things that I can't persuade you." Fu Mingmei interrupted and said, "Both of you are extremely strong-willed people. Neither of you can persuade the other. I think if you have a conflict in the future, you might as well fight. The winner calls the shots. Isn't that fine?" Shinta Tianin was amused by her. "Doesn't that mean I have to listen to him for everything? You can hire a representative. I can fight for you," Fu Mingmei said. Go, 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 go. Order food," Shinta Tianin said. "Charlotte is going to Russia tomorrow. Let's send him off." "I'll go right away." Fu Mingmei didn't want to stay and be a third wheel. When she left, she even took the ball boy with her. Only Shinta Tianin and Charlotte were left on the grass. They looked at each other and didn't speak for a long time. Shinta Tianin broke the silence. "Teach me how to play golf." Charlotte smiled and said, "You're the one who taught me. Why are you asking me to teach you?" "You're lying. You're so good. How can this be your first time playing golf? Are you going to teach me or not? If not, I'm going to ignore you." Shinta Tianin's voice was gentle. Charlotte. Chapter 382. Whitestag Town had already entered dreamland under the cover of night. The lights were sparse. The Thunder Horse military factory not far from Whitestag Town, however, was brightly lit and bustling with activity. What happened during the day did not affect the production of the factory. The workers in the military factory were extremely enthusiastic about their work, but it was not because they had a high level of ideological awareness, but because their director Xia had brought back several cartons of cash. Regardless of their position, everyone was given 10,000 yuan for fun. The money was lost to Charlotte by Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan when they played golf. They did not feel the pinch at all. After giving it to the entire factory, it was only about 5 million, enough for 3 bonuses. Yi Kuan wanted to poach the talents of the Thunder Horse military factory, but Charlotte used his money to strengthen the sense of belonging of the employees. In this matter, Yi Kuan could be said to have gone for wool and come home shorn. Everything that needed to be prepared was ready. All that was left was to go to the airport the next morning and fly straight to Moscow. In the study of the villa, Charlotte closed a set of exhibition materials and picked up a pen. He wrote on a piece of paper the mysterious words on the bronze book he saw with his X-ray vision in the military base. The words on the bronze book were very strange and complicated. He spent a few minutes to write a few words. He looked carefully at these words, looking left and looking right, but he couldn't find the slightest clue. These words, after a long time, a thought suddenly appeared in Charlotte's mind. Peaceful has never seen such words before. The language expert she consulted has never seen such words either. Could it be that it's not words? It was a bold idea. Charlotte's gaze moved to a word that took a lot of effort to write on the paper. It had a circle and many strokes. If he let his imagination run wild, the circle would look like a human head, and the strokes would look like an adult's arms and legs, or even organs, or something else. After looking for a long time, Charlotte frowned. If it's not words, why is it carved on a bronze book? What does it have to do with ancient alloy? What's the use? It was difficult to find an answer to these questions. A woman's laughter suddenly sounded in the study. Charlotte was shocked. His eyes scanned every corner of the study, but he didn't find anything. The woman's laughter drifted into Charlotte's ears again. This time, it was even clearer. The voice was very young, faintly discernible, and pleasing to the ear. However, it seemed to have drifted over from a very, very distant place. Yet it also seemed to have been transmitted from another dimension of space. In short, it was extremely strange. Charlotte suddenly remembered the woman's voice he had heard in the ruins of the White Hun tribe. His back felt cold. Suddenly, the light in the study went out. The door to the study opened silently, and a woman in a white dress suddenly appeared at the door. Ah! Charlotte couldn't help but scream. He almost fell off his chair. At the door, the woman in the white dress was tall and slender. The cold moonlight outside the door sprinkled on her body. She was like a fairy that flew down from the moon palace, without the slightest smell of smoke and fire. She slowly walked toward Charlotte. The night wind lifted her skirt, and her pair of jade-like legs could be faintly seen, like ivory chopsticks. Only then did Xia Lei see her face clearly, and he immediately let out a long breath. She wasn't a female ghost, but a Nina. A light suddenly came on, but it wasn't the light in the study. It was the glowing device in Anina's skirt. The red LED light shone, illuminating the bottom of her skirt. It was so beautiful that people didn't dare to look at it directly. The light shone upward, and her lower abdomen and chest were also shrouded in the light. Her lower abdomen was flat and smooth. Her navel was round and cute, and her 2 peaks were even more towering, majestic, and spectacular. Anina laughed heartlessly. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of Charlotte's mouth. What are you doing? I bought it on Taobao. It just arrived today. I want to wear it for you. Anina spun in a circle, showing off her sexy butt, and then walked towards Xia Lei. Does it look good? Charlotte said with a bitter smile. It seems that I have to talk to Ma Ning. I have to let him know what he has sold. Why would you buy such a thing? You don't like it? Anina unceremoniously sat on Charlotte's lap. Charlotte looked at the glowing thing in her skirt and couldn't help laughing. No, I just think you should wear underwear underneath. Come on, I know you like it like this. Charlotte. Anina lowered her head and used her soft lips to block Charlotte's lips. The long night was endless and gentle. The next morning, Tang Yuyan drove to the Thunder Horse military factory. Long Bing and Tang Buchuan also came. In the battle, the elites of 101 innings were all present. It was not difficult to see how important the 101 innings was to this trip to Russia. The 4 sniper rifles on display were all loaded into the car, waiting for Charlotte to set off. Anina gave Charlotte a hug and said in his ear, "Be careful. Call me when you get there." "Okay, I'll call you when I get there," Charlotte said. On the other side, Tang Yuyan frowned. "What is the relationship between Anina and Charlotte? Are you asking me?" Long Bing said. "Well, this woman was abducted from Germany by you and Charlotte. You definitely know more than me," Tang Yuyan said. Long Bing said lightly, "I need to use 10,000 words to explain it clearly. Are you interested in listening?" Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Long Bing. "You're so cold. No wonder you still don't have a boyfriend." Long Bing also rolled her eyes at Tang Yuyan. "You make it sound like you have a boyfriend." Tang Buchuan shrugged. "Do you have to be like this the moment you meet?" Long Bing and Tang Yuyan rolled their eyes at each other. Some relationships in this world were destined to be irresolvable, just like Tang Yuyan and Long Bing. The two of them were definitely comrades in arms on the battlefield, and they could entrust their lives to each other. However, in their daily lives, the two of them bickered. Charlotte walked over. "All right, let's go." A few cars from 101 innings were on the road, heading straight for the airport. Although Long Bing and Tang Buchuan also came, they did not board the plane. Their task was only to escort the guns and Charlotte to the exhibition. Tang Yuyan was the one who was going to accompany Charlotte to Moscow. "Be careful." Before Charlotte boarded the plane, Long Bing warned him. Charlotte nodded. "I will, thank you. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Xiao Xue. I can't rest assured if I'm not by her side." Long Bing said, "Don't worry about that. I'll take good care of her for you." After a pause, she added, "Also, don't cause any trouble in Moscow this time." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "I'll try my best." Tang Yuyan poked her head out of the plane's door. "Charlotte, hurry up. I'm leaving." Charlotte boarded the plane. In addition to the flight crew and Tang Yuyan, there were two other people on the plane. One was Tang Yuyan's subordinate, Hu Hao. The other was Ling Han. He was very young, in his early 30s. He wore a pair of rimless glasses, had fair skin, and looked gentle. He looked like a civil servant, but Charlotte observed him and felt that it was not the case. This Ling Han had an indescribable temperament, giving people a feeling that there was a story behind him. "Mr. Xia, I've heard a lot about you, but I never had the chance to meet you." Ling Han took the initiative to greet Charlotte. "We finally met on this trip to Russia. It's a pleasure to meet you." Charlotte was also very polite. "Mr. Ling, it's a pleasure to meet you. By the way, what are you responsible for?" Ling Han looked at Tang Yuyan, who was standing next to Charlotte. "Section Chief Tang, didn't you tell Mr. Xia?" Tang Yuyan said, "I'm sorry." "Charlotte, Mr. Ling is the official representative of this exhibition. He is responsible for negotiating with foreign merchants and approving complicated orders." This was equivalent to being in charge. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. This Ling Han is so young, yet he's already in charge of such an important task. His identity is not simple. His position is definitely much higher than Tang Yuyan's. Ling Han smiled and said, "That's right. I'm in charge of these tasks. I hope Mr. Xia can support me." Of course, of course. Please take care of me, Mr. Ling." Charlotte reached out his hands to shake hands with Ling Han. Ling Han also reached out his hands to shake hands with Charlotte. He did not have any official airs at all. The two of them exchanged a few pleasantries before returning to their seats. There were a lot of seats on the plane, but Tang Yuyan ran over to squeeze with Charlotte and sat next to him. Charlotte glanced at Ling Han from the corner of his eye, then moved closer to Tang Yuyan's ear and whispered, "Who is this Ling Han?" Tang Yuyan's ears turned red. "I'm not sure." "You're not sure?" Charlotte was a little surprised. Tang Yuyan turned around and moved closer to Charlotte's ear. "I'm not lying to you. I actually just found out his name. Didn't I tell you last time that the higher-ups will send someone to be in charge of the exhibition this time? I don't know who he is or which department he's from. However, the higher-ups are very concerned about the Russian exhibition this time. Based on my experience, this person's identity must be very special, and his position must be very high." Charlotte frowned. "Could it be someone from Hanwoo Weapons Company?" Tang Yuyan said, "It can't be. Would someone from Hanwoo Weapons Company be nice to you? You don't have to ask about his identity. Just mind your own business." Charlotte sat up straight and stopped asking. Tang Yuyan rubbed her ears and rolled her eyes at Charlotte. She thought to herself, he really doesn't think of himself as an outsider. He actually blew in my ear and tickled me. Pervert. Charlotte was also muttering in his heart, but it was another matter. The higher-ups are taking this seriously, so the person they're sending is definitely not simple. With this Ling Han by my side, how can I hand over the 2XL 2500 sniper rifles to my father? Also, my father wants to meet me in Russia. How can I leave with Tang Yuyan by my side? Before they even reached Russia, Charlotte's worries had already surfaced. The plane took off. Through the window, he could see the airport rapidly retreating. Further away, the outline of the capital came into view and also flew away. Charlotte suddenly had a premonition that this trip to Russia was destined to not be peaceful. Chapter 383. It took more than 9 hours to fly from Kyoto to Moscow. When he got off the plane, it was almost dusk. There was no feeling of jet lag, and he could even enjoy a Russian-style dinner. The hotel was booked early in the morning. It was the Crown Plaza Hotel in the center of Moscow. It was very close to the Red Square and the Kremlin, only a few minutes' drive away. Charlotte's room was well lit. Standing in front of the window, he could overlook the most powerful political center in Eastern Europe, the Kremlin. I'm already in Moscow. I don't know where my father is. This time, will he send Yelena to contact me? It must be like this. Yelena is originally Russian, and this is her hometown. Charlotte thought. In Moscow, he wasn't too worried about the CIA's unbridled actions. After all, this was the capital of Russia. If the CIA stirred up trouble here, the Russian Federal Security Service would definitely make them suffer. One must know that the Russian Federal Security Service's predecessor was the civilized world's KGB. Together with the CIA, Israel's Mossad, and Britain's MI6, they were known as the world's 4 major intelligence organizations. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Charlotte looked back and saw Tang Yuyan standing outside the door. She had changed into a blue evening dress. It was low-cut and exposed back. Her figure was plump and tight, and she was extremely sexy. Charlotte opened the door for her. He pretended to be stunned for a moment, and then said with a smile, "You even changed your clothes so quickly. Why are you dressed so beautifully?" Tang Yuyan said with a smile, "It's rare for us to come out and have fun. Of course, I want to relax. I asked around, and the Russian food in this hotel is good. Let's try it. The lunch today was terrible. I barely moved, and I'm starving. So, treat me to a good meal." Charlotte readily agreed. "It's my honor." Tang Yuyan came over and held Charlotte's arm. This action was very intimate. Charlotte only slightly stiffened, but he didn't reject it. In Afghanistan, he and Tang Yuyan had even pretended to be husband and wife. Pretending to be a couple in Moscow was a piece of cake. When they arrived at the restaurant on the 2nd floor, Charlotte thought of something. "Should we invite Mr. Ling to eat with us?" Tang Yuyan said, "No, he's a grown man. If he's hungry, he'll definitely come to eat." Charlotte didn't say anything. He chose a table by the window and then pulled out a chair for Tang Yuyan. With a smile on her face, Tang Yuyan gracefully sat down. Women all liked men with poise, and she was no exception. A Russian girl came over and asked Charlotte in broken English what he needed. Xiaolei said to her in fluent Russian, "A bottle of 10-year-old Blue Valley, 2 lamb chops, 2 bowls of borscht, and, a chocolate dessert for this lady." The Russian girl smiled at Charlotte. "Sir, please wait a moment." When a man was not only good-looking, but also had poise and taste, and was also very rich, there would be no lack of women's attention wherever he went. This was the same as a sexy woman walking on the street, which would always attract the attention of a group of men. After the Russian girl left, Tang Yuyan slightly raised the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, "You're really something. Wherever you go, there are girls coming to talk to you." Charlotte said awkwardly, "She just said, sir, please wait a moment. Is that considered a conversation?" She also winked at you. "If I wasn't here, she might have asked you for your phone number," Tang Yuyan said mischievously. Charlotte suddenly realized, "You can understand Russian?" Tang Yuyan said, "I can't not be prepared for a mission in Russia. I don't speak Russian, but who how does?" Charlotte looked into the restaurant, but he didn't see Hu Hao in the restaurant. Tang Yin pointed to a decorative flower on her left chest. Pinhole camera, listening device, he can hear everything you say and see what you're doing. He's in his room, and his task is to translate for me. Charlotte smiled bitterly and shook his head. He didn't say anything, but in his heart, he was complaining about how troublesome it was. If she follows me closely at all times, Hu Hao will translate for her who I see and what I say. In this way, how can Yelena and my father get close to me? No, I have to find a way to get rid of her. The waiter served the dishes, and the two enjoyed the Russian delicacies while looking at the scenery outside the window. Tang Yin took a sip of the red wine. Well, this red wine is good. What's it called again? Azure Valley. Charlotte translated for her in Mandarin. It's 10 years old. It's not worse than French red wine, but it's not famous. By the way, didn't Hu Hao translate for you? Does he want to die? Why would he translate for us when we were talking? Tang Yin rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Just now, when I touched here, I had already turned off the listening device. As she spoke, she repeated the action and pressed on her perky breast with her soft hands. There was an obvious sinking movement in that soft area, and Charlotte couldn't help but guess how soft it was and how heavy it was. This kind of speculation was very boring, but men couldn't avoid this kind of boredom. By the way, the exhibition starts in 3 days. We need to enter the exhibition hall 2 days in advance to set up our booth. We don't have to worry about the procedures and documents. Ling Han will take care of it. Tang Yuyin started talking about business. Okay. So, we have nothing to do tomorrow and the day after. We can't just stay in a hotel like idiots. Tang Yuyin winked at Charlotte. How about we go out for a walk? Charlotte's heart skipped a beat, and he agreed without hesitation. It wasn't that he wanted to go out and play with Tang Yuyin, but if he stayed here, Hu Hao and Ling Han would be a problem. If Yelena found this place and was discovered by Hu Hao or Ling Han, it would be terrible. If they went out to play, it would be easier to find opportunities to interact with Yelena. That's settled then. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Tang Yin said excitedly, I want to go to Red Square, I want to go to Kremlin, I want to go to Notre Dame Monastery, Winter Palace, and Neva Street. However, just as Tang Yin was reciting the names of the attractions, Charlotte's gaze shifted to the entrance of the restaurant. A group of Chinese people were striding over, and the person leading them was none other than Yi Kun. Seeing Yi Kun, Charlotte frowned. Why is he here? Tang Yuyin also saw Yi Kun and the large group of followers behind him. She frowned as well. I don't know. I didn't receive any notice. Hanwoo Weapon Company is our country's largest light weapon manufacturer. Yi Kun must be here to participate in the International Light Weapons Exhibition. Did the higher-ups arrange for him to stay in this hotel? Is Ling Han also in charge of Hanwoo Weapon Company's exhibition? Charlotte asked. Tang Yuyin shook her head. The possibility of Ling Han being in charge of Hanwoo Weapon Company's exhibition in Russia is very small. As for Yi Kun staying in this hotel, I can only say that he definitely has the means to know her schedule. At this time, Yi Kun also saw Charlotte and Tang Yuyin and walked straight over. His expression, his lack of composure, made Charlotte suspect that Yi Kun was here to cause trouble. Miss Tang Yuyin, you're so beautiful tonight. Yi Kun smiled and greeted Tang Yuyin. Thank you. Tang Yuyin's tone was indifferent. Yi Kun then looked at Charlotte. Yo, isn't this our firearms rookie, Charlotte, Mr. Xia? You really came to Russia. Charlotte said, What do you want to say? Say it and leave. Don't disturb my meal. Yi Kun said coldly. Charlotte, although you don't respect me as a senior, I'm still willing to give you another chance to correct your mistake. I'll ask you one last time. Are you selling your Thunder Horse military factory or not? Charlotte laughed. You're really like a woman who doesn't know what to do. I'll tell you again, 300 billion. If you pay now, I'll sell it to you now. Yi Kun's face darkened. He actually already knew Charlotte's answer, but he still didn't give up and wanted to ask. A man dressed as a bodyguard behind, Yi Kun interrupted and said, You kid, how are you talking to Director Yi? Didn't your mother teach you manners? Charlotte's eyes moved to the bodyguard. Suddenly, he threw a piece of lamb chop on the fork in his hand and hit the bodyguard's face. Being hit by the lamb chop was actually nothing. It wasn't very painful, but the sauce on the lamb chop splashed on the bodyguard's face. Even his white shirt was dirty. He looked very embarrassed. Bastard. The bodyguard suddenly went crazy and rushed up to beat Charlotte. Charlotte didn't even move. He didn't care about a bodyguard at all. Tang Yuyin suddenly stood up, and the knife in her hand drew an arc in the air. When it stopped again, it was already on the neck of the bodyguard, who rushed up. The bodyguard stopped abruptly, not daring to move recklessly. Tang Yuyin's eyes were very cold. "Director Yi, do you really want to make things worse?" Yi Kuan said, "Step back." Only then did the bodyguard step back, cautiously. Tang Yuyin sat back in the chair. "Director Yi, I'm sorry I can't keep you company. Yuyin, I have a good relationship with your grandfather and your father. I don't want to make things unpleasant because of this kid. Okay, I'll give you face. Let's go." Yi Kuan waved his hand and walked to the other corner of the restaurant. Charlotte knew that the trouble didn't disappear. This was just the beginning. "This guy's like a fly." Tang Yuyin angrily threw the knife and fork on the table. "The atmosphere and appetite are ruined by him." Charlotte said, "Thank you for just now." "Thank me for what?" Tang Yuyin said, "Compared to what you did for me in Afghanistan, what I did for you is nothing." Charlotte smiled. "If you don't want to eat, let's go back." Tang Yuyin shook her head. "Why don't you order me another lobster? Maybe I'll be in a better mood if I change the dish." Charlotte. At this time, Ling Han also walked into the restaurant. He made eye contact with Charlotte. He nodded in greeting, then sat at a table by the door, ordered, and waited. He seemed very quiet. Charlotte was sure that Ling Han also saw Yi Kuan, but what made him feel strange was that Ling Han and Yi Kuan didn't even nod in greeting. Charlotte secretly said in his heart, "Don't they know each other? This Ling Han is really a very strange person." Chapter 384. "Miss, you're so pretty." Charlotte leaned against the counter at the hotel's front desk, smiling as he struck up a conversation with the Russian girl on duty. The Russian girl covered her mouth and giggled. "Is there anything I can help you with, sir?" Can you tell me which room a Chinese man named Yi Kuan is staying in?" Charlotte asked. Disappointment flashed in the Russian girl's eyes. "Sorry, sir. We have rules. We can't reveal information about other guests." Charlotte smiled and placed a symmetrically folded hotel card next to the Russian girl's hand. There was a €100 note in the card. The Russian girl smiled at Charlotte again and quietly put the card away. She then checked the registration book. "5th floor, room 418. "Thank you." Charlotte turned to leave. "Hey, sir." The Russian girl called out to Charlotte. "I get off work at 12. Saleh looked back and smiled. He nodded but thought to himself, "What does it have to do with me that you get off work at 12? 5th floor. They were on the same floor. Obviously, this was not a coincidence. Yi Kuan had arranged it on purpose. The corridor on the 5th floor was quiet and empty. Charlotte walked to the other end of the corridor. His room was room 410, but he did not stop when he passed by room 410. He continued to walk forward and quickly approached room 418. His line of sight silently passed through the door of room 418, and the scene in the room entered Charlotte's line of sight. Yi Kuan was talking with a few people in the room. The bodyguard who had been hit in the face by Charlotte was also in the group. There was also a woman who had not appeared in the restaurant before. She was very young and was probably Yi Kuan's assistant or secretary. Charlotte lip-read the conversation in the room. "That punk won't give up until he sees the coffin," Yi Kuan said hatefully. "No matter what, we have to stop him from bringing his gun to the exhibition. If Thunder Horse Military Factory's XL 2500 sniper rifle becomes a hit at the exhibition, it will be very difficult to deal with him in the future." "Chairman Yi, where is the gun?" asked the woman. "Do you even need to ask? He must be in Charlotte's room." Someone guessed. Another person said, "If that's the case, Director Yi, why don't we just send someone to snatch those guns?" Yi Kuan frowned. "You're underestimating that brat and the people around him. I won't talk about the others, but Tang Yuyin, who's always by Charlotte's side, is not someone we can deal with. She was a woman from the Tang sect in Sichuan and a general who had fought in 101 innings. She wouldn't even blink when she killed someone. With the people we brought, we are no match for them at all. Tang Yuyin is in charge of protecting Charlotte and those guns. If we take action, won't that be the same as declaring war on her? The woman had a worried look on her face. There's still 2 days left. We have to think of a solution as soon as possible. One of them said, "We can't rob and we can't buy. What else can we do?" "Right, there's a bespectacled man beside Charlotte and Tang Yuyin." "Who is he?" asked the woman. Yi Kuan shook his head. "I don't know where he came from. I've asked around, but there's no result." In the corridor outside the door, Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. He thought to himself, even Yi Kuan can't find out the identity of this person. Who exactly is this Ling Han? In the room, Yi Kuan said, "Forget it. Don't worry about this. You guys deal with the exhibition. I'll handle this." The identities of the people in the room were obvious. Other than the bodyguards, the rest were from Hanwu Weapons. They were also Yi Kuan's trusted subordinates. Otherwise, Yi Kuan wouldn't have brought them to Russia and discussed such a shady matter with them. Yi Kuan's subordinates began to discuss the weapons exhibition. Yi Kuan walked to the balcony outside the living room and took out his phone to make a call. He had his back to the living room and the door of the room. Charlotte adjusted the angle, but still could not see the shape of Yi Kuan's mouth with his X-ray vision. He could not use his lip-reading ability. Yi Kuan's call with someone was very short. It was probably just a few sentences. He hung up and returned to the living room with a smile on his face. "All right, that's all for today. You can all go back to your rooms." "Chairman Yi, it's settled?" someone asked. Yi Kuan said, "You don't have to worry about this. Just do your job well." They did not ask any more questions. They got up and walked to the door. Charlotte turned and ran. He rushed to the door of room 410 in the blink of an eye. He opened the door and entered. The door to room 418 opened as soon as he entered. However, Charlotte was too lazy to use his X-ray vision to observe these people. After entering the room, Charlotte walked to the bedside and reached out to pull out a plastic engineering box from under the bed. He opened the plastic box, and the 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles immediately entered his line of sight. One was produced on the assembly line of Thunder Horse Military Factory, and the other was personally modified by him. There is only one sniper rifle in the world with an effective shooting range of 3,400 meters. He had brought a total of 4 sniper rifles on this trip to Russia. 2 were in his hands, 1 was in Tang Yin's hands, and 1 was in Ling Han's hands. This was his arrangement. This was also a safety measure. Under this arrangement, even if someone stole 1 or both of their guns, he still had the guns to participate in the exhibition. Xiaolei glanced at it, then closed the plastic box again and put it back under the bed. "Who is Yi Kuan talking to on the phone?" Charlotte quietly pondered. From his reaction, it seems like he's in a much better mood after the call. He seems to have a card up his sleeve. Could it be that he has the confidence to stop me from participating in the exhibition? If he's using someone else to achieve his goal, who could that person be? He thought of the CIA, but quickly rejected the idea. With Yi Kuan's status, he wouldn't dare work with the American CIA, even if he was as bold as a basketball. Other than this possibility, he couldn't think of who Yi Kuan would ask for help. After all, as long as they had money, there were too many people who could do this kind of thing. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and he saw the person standing outside the door. It was Ling Han. "Mr. Ling, is something the matter?" Charlotte opened the door and asked politely. Ling Han said, "Mr. Xia, may I come in and sit?" "Please come in." Charlotte opened the door, wondering why Ling Han was looking for him so late at night. Ling Han sat on the sofa and went straight to the point. "Mr. Xia, what were you doing outside Yi Kuan's room just now?" Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. "How did you know I was outside Yi Kuan's room just now?" Ling Han said calmly, "When you and Tang Yuyin went to the restaurant to eat, I put 2 surveillance cameras in the corridor. Of course, don't misunderstand. I didn't do this to spy on you, but to ensure that our mission was completed smoothly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put the cameras in the corridor, but in your room." This Ling Han gave off an unfathomable feeling. "Mr. Xia, is it not convenient for you to answer my question?" Ling Han looked at Charlotte, as if he was observing and guessing. Charlotte then said, Hanwoo Weapons and Thunder Horse Military Factory are direct competitors. Before this, Yi Kun also came to me and tried to buy my company. This isn't the first time he's sabotaged my visit to Russia. I think you know some of the situation, right? Ling Han nodded. I did know some of the situation. Charlotte then said, Yi Kun's appearance here made me a little nervous. I was sure he would cause trouble, so I wanted to eavesdrop on what he and his people were talking about in the room. This is not a very honorable thing to do, but compared to his despicable tricks, I'm much more open and above board. Ling Han said, Then what did you eavesdrop on? Someone suggested that they come and take my gun. Ling Han's brows immediately furrowed. Charlotte observed his expression and said, Someone also suggested that we pay someone capable to do this. No one said this. Charlotte had made it up himself based on the situation. He wanted to see Ling Han's reaction. However, Ling Han only furrowed his brows and didn't have any other reaction. Ling Han stood up from the sofa. I understand. That's all then. You should rest early. That's all. That's all. This was the last sentence the two men exchanged. Ling Han left Xia Lei's room, closing the door behind him as he went out. Xia Lei stared blankly at the tightly shut door for a while before he said, Ridiculous. This guy is even colder than Longbing. Charlotte wanted to talk to Tang Yuyan, but gave up after thinking about it. He took a shower and then went to bed. However, he almost slept with his eyes open. He couldn't sleep at all. His mind was full of this and that, and it was a mess. He didn't know why, but there was always an uneasy feeling in his heart. However, there was no movement outside. It was strangely quiet. What was even stranger was that this feeling didn't disappear with the passage of time. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. After some time, he couldn't lie down anymore. He got out of bed and put on his clothes. He took out the plastic engineering box under the bed and put on the bed. At this moment, there was a noise in the corridor outside the door. It was the sound of a dining car's wheels rolling on the carpet. There were also footsteps. More than one person was walking. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and the door quietly disappeared from his sight. The moment he saw the situation outside the door, he suddenly wanted to rush to the wall next to the door. At that moment, a large foot kicked the door fiercely, and the door opened with a bang. A tall blond man rushed into the room with the latest model of AK-12. Without saying anything, he pulled the trigger while facing the bed. The muzzle of the AK-12 was equipped with a silencer, so the gunshot was very soft. The bullets hit the quilt and mattress without making a sound, but the feathers of the bullets were like snowflakes dancing in the air. He wasn't here to steal the gun. He was here to kill. Without waiting for the blond man to finish firing, Charlotte, who was hiding behind the wall, suddenly reached out and grabbed the gun. At the same time, he kicked the blond man's knee. The blond man didn't expect Charlotte to be hiding beside him. He was caught off guard and fell to the ground. At this moment, Charlotte suddenly pulled the AK-12 up and took it. Tut, tut, tut. A burst of bullets suddenly came in from outside the door. Charlotte moved his feet and pressed his back against the wall. At the same time, he pressed the muzzle and pulled the trigger. Several bullets suddenly pierced the blond man's chest. One down, but there were still 10 outside the door. Chapter 385. It was a group of gunmen. They were all armed with AK-12s, which were American-made M16s with terrifying firepower. With such a group of gunmen, it would be easy to take on a police station. Based on the number of people and their weapons, it was not difficult to tell how determined they were to kill Charlotte. Outside the door, one of the gunmen suddenly made a gesture to another gunman. The gunman nodded and took a step back. Suddenly, he laid on the ground and slid into the room with his body close to the floor. As he slid, he adjusted the gun in his hand to the direction where Charlotte was hiding. However, before his upper body had completely slid into the room, just as his head was about to enter the door, a few bullets suddenly pierced his head and blasted it into pieces. Such a tactic would work against other people, but against Charlotte, it would be impossible unless they dug out his left eye. One of the gunmen dragged the gunman whose head was blasted into pieces back into the room. Then, he used the man's body as a shield and moved into the room. Behind him, 8 gunmen were ready to rush in. With the power of the AK-12S and M16S, once the gunmen rushed into the room, it would be useless even if Charlotte was unparalleled in martial arts. Once he was shot, even if it was just one shot, he would lose the ability to fight. The situation was dire. At that moment, a hail of bullets suddenly shot out from the room opposite. One of the gunmen who had his back to the door instantly fell to the ground. At the same time, the door next to room 410 suddenly opened a gap, and a black muzzle popped out from the gap. Puff, puff. 2 of the gunmen were shot in the back of their heads and fell to the ground. Tang Yuyin and Ling Han had also joined the battle. The 2 of them had joined the battle later than Charlotte had expected, but it could not be helped. Ling Han and Tang Yuyin did not have X-ray vision like he did. They needed Hu Hao's technical support, and that would take some time. Tut tut tut. Tut tut tut. The remaining 6 gunmen fired at Tang Yuyin and Ling Han's door. Bullets flew in the corridor, and the wooden door was blasted into pieces. The bullets that hit the wall tore off the paint and shattered the glass frame hanging on the wall. In an instant, the narrow battlefield was in chaos. In the end, the gunner, who was carrying the corpse, braced himself and rushed into Charlotte's room. It wasn't that he wasn't afraid of death. It was just that it was extremely dangerous for him to be attacked by Tang Yuyin and Ling Hao in the corridor. It was a risky move. As long as they could kill Charlotte, they could reverse the unfavorable situation on their side. Tut tut tut. A gunman suppressed the fire in the room. Bullets flew around the room, shattering the crystal chandelier and glassware. Shards flew everywhere. After the bullets were fired, the gunman rushed into Charlotte's room with the corpse in his arms. He hid behind the body, and the muzzle poked out from under the body's armpit. He aimed in the direction where Charlotte was hiding and pulled the trigger. Tut tut tut. The glass door of the bathroom shattered with a loud noise. The sofa was also shaken by the attack, and the stuffing inside flew everywhere. However, it did not hit Charlotte. Charlotte, who was just behind the door, seemed to have disappeared into thin air. The gunman threw the corpse away and looked toward the balcony. Behind him, 2 other gunmen rushed into the room. A gust of wind blew in from the balcony and lifted the curtains, revealing the entire balcony. It was empty, and there was nothing there. "Where is he?" one of the gunmen asked anxiously. Tut tut tut. A burst of bullets suddenly shot down from the ceiling behind them. The 3 gunmen fell into a pool of blood before they could even see the shadow of the person. All of them were shot in the head, and they died very quickly. If there were souls in this world, the souls of the 3 gunmen will be able to see Charlotte sticking to the corner of the wall like a gecko. Moreover, he was only supported by 1 hand and a pair of feet. Charlotte jumped down from the corner of the wall under the ceiling. He rolled over and picked up an M16 from the ground before hiding under the wall again. It had only been 2 minutes since the start of the battle, but 8 of the enemy's gunmen had died. Although the battle was not over, the most dangerous moment was over. In the corridor, the 3 remaining gunmen did not seem to have expected the person they wanted to kill to be so powerful. Without any hesitation, the 3 of them ran toward the staircase. As they ran, they fired at Tang Yuyin and Ning Hao's room, suppressing the 2 of them so that they would not dare to come out. The 3 gunmen's strategy was very smart. They succeeded. Tang Yuyin and Ning Hao did not dare to rush out of the room in a hail of bullets to intercept them. However, they had forgotten one person, Charlotte. Moreover, it was Charlotte who could see what they were doing through the wall. Just as the 3 gunmen strode past Tang Yuyin's room and sped up toward the staircase, Charlotte suddenly rushed out of the room. He held the M16 with both hands and fired a burst of bullets at the 3 gunmen. 1 gunman was shot in the head, 1 in the back, and 1 in the buttocks and thighs. The gunman who was shot in the head and back did not move. The gunman who was shot in the buttocks and thighs rolled over and prepared to shoot. Whoosh! A knife suddenly pierced the gunman's wrist, and the AK-12 in his hand fell to the ground. The one who shot was Tang Yuyin. She had the same idea as Charlotte, which was to leave one alive. Charlotte and Tang Yuyin walked toward the gunman who was still alive. Ling Hao also walked out of the gunman's room. He was holding a fully automatic pistol in his hand. He looked at the corpses on the ground and did not even frown. The last gunman, who was still alive, crawled toward the gun on the ground. Charlotte stepped on his injured leg. "Ah!" the gunman screamed. Tang Yuyin kicked the gun further away and pointed it at the gunman's head. "You are dead," the gunman shouted in Russian. "My brother will avenge me." From his tone, he did not sound like a professional killer, nor did he sound like someone from the CIA. He sounded more like a Russian mafia. The Russian mafia was notorious in Eastern Europe and Europe for being fearless of death. The Russian mafia dared to do anything for money. Not to mention killing people, they even dared to resell nuclear weapons. Charlotte thought of something and said in Russian, "Tell me, who ordered you to do this?" "Bah!" The Russian gunman spat blood at Charlotte. Tang Yuyin kicked the Russian gunman's head and then stepped on his face. She said fiercely, "Speak. Who ordered you to do this?" Unfortunately, the Russian gunman did not understand her Chinese. He stared at Tang Yuyin with hatred. There was no fear in his eyes. Instead, there was a murderous look like a bloodthirsty beast. "Forget it." Charlotte pulled Tang Yuyin and said, "Let him go." "No," Tang Yuyin said flatly. "The police should be here soon. When the police come, we won't have a chance to interrogate him." Charlotte let go of her arm, but he whispered in her ear, "If you step on him like this, he can see the bottom of your skirt." "Huh?" Tang Yuyin suddenly realized that she was wearing a nightdress. She became angry and kicked the Russian gunman's head again. With this kick, the Russian gunner immediately fainted. Tang Yuyin rolled her eyes at Charlotte. She didn't say anything, but she seemed to be muttering in her heart, "At a time like this, he actually cares about the bottom of my skirt?" Ling Han walked over. "Are you all okay?" Charlotte said, "I'm fine." Tang Yuyin also said, "I'm fine too." "Who are they?" Ling Han asked. Tang Yuyin shook her head. "I don't know. This guy is very tight-lipped. I can't get any information out of him." Charlotte said, "They're probably from the Russian mafia. They were paid to kill me." After a pause, he said, "Maybe the gun in my room is also their target." Ling Han's brows immediately furrowed, and a cold voice came out of his mouth. "Too much." When Charlotte said that, he seemed to have guessed who it was related to. More doors opened, and Hu Hao, who provided technical support for Tang Yuyin and Ling Han, also walked out of his room. Then, Yi Kuan and a few people from Hanwha Weapons Company also walked out of their rooms and looked over carefully. Looking at the corpses lying in the hallway and Xia Lei, who was gradually coming back to life, Yi Kuan's face suddenly turned ugly. His subordinates and bodyguards were even more stunned. They couldn't believe that Charlotte could survive so many people's assassination attempts. Tang Yuyin suddenly walked towards Yi Kuan, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Ling Hao grabbed Tang Yuyin. "What are you trying to do? This has something to do with him." Tang Yuyin said angrily. "Calm down." Ling Hao scolded in a low voice. "This is an order." Tang Yuyin was stunned for a moment, but she gave up in the end. Ling Hao was the person in charge of this mission. She had to listen to Ling Hao's orders. However, Ling Hao's scolding made her calm down. It was useless to rush over to Yi Kuan and cause trouble. Instead, it would bring trouble to herself. With Yi Kuan's identity, he was not someone she could deal with easily. On the other side, Yi Kuan hesitated for a moment, but finally walked over and said hypocritically, "What happened? Are you guys hurt? Russia is too messy. It's almost like a movie." Ling Han and Tang Yuyin looked at him without saying a word. Ling Xiao raised the M16 in his hand and pointed the muzzle at Yi Kuan. "You." Yi Kuan suddenly became nervous. "What are you trying to do?" Charlotte smiled. "Chairman Yi, what do you think I'm trying to do?" You put the gun down." Yi Kuan's voice was trembling. Charlotte put the gun down and said with a smile, "Don't mind me. I just took a trip to the gates of hell, and I'm still nervous." "Chairman Yi, can you see if there's anyone you know here?" "What? People I know." Yi Kuan reacted and said angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about? How would I know these people? You must have done something to attract your enemies to kill you, right?" Charlotte said, "Maybe. I have a lot of enemies, but I'm a man of principle. As long as they can't kill me, I will kill them. Look, didn't these people all die in my hands?" Yi Kuen's face was extremely gloomy. He knew very well that Charlotte's words were directed at him. He also knew what Charlotte meant. As long as he didn't kill Charlotte, Charlotte would kill him. Charlotte's lips curled into a cold smile. Chairman Yi, it's not easy for you to climb to where you are today. You must take care of your body. Don't get into any accidents in Russia. It's a sad thing to lose people but not finish spending money. Yi Kuen said angrily. What are you trying to say? Are you threatening me? He looked at Ling Hao. Mr. Ling, did you see that? He is threatening me. Ling Hao said calmly. It's just a sentence. I don't think it's a threat. I say, what are you still doing here? Do you really know someone? Oomph. Yi Kuen swung his hand and left. Police sirens could be heard outside the hotel. The Moscow police had finally arrived. Chapter 386. The Moscow police took away 10 bodies, and the injured gunman was also taken away by the ambulance and transferred to the hospital. After he received treatment, the Moscow police would interrogate him. It was possible that they would find out which gang he belonged to, or maybe he didn't belong to any gang at all. Charlotte didn't have much hope for this. He was just a gunman, and his position in the gang wouldn't be high. It was almost impossible for him to know who paid them to kill people here. This matter was very big, but with the current relationship between Russia and China, it wouldn't cause any unnecessary trouble. Ling Han showed his ID and the relevant documents. The Russian police checked and didn't have any trouble at all. Throughout the whole process, Charlotte only answered a few simple questions. However, after knowing that it was a gunman and that Charlotte killed 7 people and seriously injured one, even the tough Russian police looked at Charlotte in awe, as if they were looking at a monster. Ling Han and Tang Yuyan were still cooperating with the police investigation, so Charlotte left the corridor and walked to the stairwell. Where are you going? Tang Yuyan asked. Charlotte didn't look back and just said, I'm going to the rooftop to get some fresh air. Get some fresh air? Tang Yuyan almost choked on this sentence. She wanted to follow, but the police officer who recorded her statement indicated that she couldn't leave. Hu Hao also shrugged and continued to act as a translator for Tang Yuyan. Charlotte didn't go to the rooftop. In fact, he only went up 1 floor, and after reaching the 6th floor, he entered the corridor. The assassination failed, and Yi Kuen was most likely to contact the person who sent the gunman or the middleman. This was also the best time to find out who was behind the scenes. How could he miss such an opportunity? Charlotte quickly walked to the door of room 452 and knocked on the door. The door opened, and a blonde Russian woman looked at Charlotte in surprise. She didn't know this Chinese man at all, but he knocked on her door. In fact, she thought it was the police who came to ask about the situation. After all, with such a huge commotion downstairs, the entire hotel knew what had happened. Sir, the Russian woman looked at Charlotte warily. Charlotte took out his wallet, took out a few €100 notes, and stuffed them into the Russian woman's hand. Sorry, I need to borrow your bathroom. Without waiting for the woman's reply, Charlotte had already brushed past the woman's side and entered the house, then entered her bathroom. The Russian woman stared blankly at the closed bathroom door and then looked at the few euros in her hand. She didn't recover for a long time. However, she didn't mind earning a few €100 just by borrowing the bathroom. Most importantly, the person who borrowed the bathroom was a handsome guy. In the washroom, Charlotte was not idle for even a moment. His left eye pierced through the floorboards and took in all the rooms downstairs. In Yi Kuen's room, a few employees from Hanwoo Weapons Company were discussing what had just happened. Yi Kuen did not participate in the discussion. He stood on the balcony and smoked. Then, he took out his phone and dialed a good number. However, he seemed to have realized something. He waved his hand and said, all of you can leave. The few employees from Hanwoo Weapons Company left the room. Yi Kuen dialed the good number again and stood in the living room to make a phone call. Charlotte's gaze locked onto Yi Kuen's lips. Mr. N, what happened? Yi Kuen looked annoyed. Only one of those guns, and you promised not to make things worse. But do you know what just happened? 11 gunmen appeared in the hotel and started shooting. It was in Xiaoxian. Charlotte's eyes were cold to the extreme. What? You're asking if he's dead? If he's dead, why be calling you? Yi Kuen lost control of his emotions. It's a gunman. He killed 8 of them by himself. Oh yeah, and one of them was seriously injured. That guy left one alive. This is a problem. You better make sure he doesn't spill anything. Then there won't be a problem. Okay, I'll contact you tomorrow. It's not convenient to talk here. Yikun hung up the phone and sat on the sofa, deep in thought. He was not a monolithic person. If something like this happened, and it was found to be related to him, he would be in big trouble. Charlotte looked away and walked out of the bathroom. The Russian woman stood at the bathroom door and stared at Charlotte. There was a hint of hesitation in her eyes. "Thank you," Charlotte said courteously. The woman suddenly smiled. She took off her pajamas and stood naked in front of Charlotte. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Then he started running. "Hello. You paid, could it be?" Before the woman could finish, Charlotte had already disappeared. Russia was sanctioned by the West because of the Crimea issue. Coupled with the plummeting oil prices, the domestic economic situation was very serious. Many women in the workplace were willing to earn some extra income. The woman obviously saw Charlotte as her guest, but she did not expect that once she took off her clothes, Charlotte would run away. What was going on? Entering the corridor, Charlotte did not go to the rooftop. Instead, he went down to the 5th floor. Several policemen had finished the investigation and were ready to leave. Several policemen nodded to Charlotte and did not hide the awe in their hearts. Charlotte was also very polite. He waved to the policeman and said goodbye. "Didn't you go to the rooftop?" Tang Yuyin said, "I was going to find you." Charlotte said, "Forget it. I don't want to go. If there is a sniper, I don't have a gun with me. It's very dangerous." Ling Hao said, "Don't live here. Let's change places." "Where?" Charlotte asked. "The embassy. I'm going to make a report. You go back and pack your things." Ling Hao returned to his room. Charlotte also returned to his room. It was a mess. The floor was full of blood and glass fragments. The engineering plastic box was still on the bed, and there were several bullet marks on it. However, because it was specially made, the bullet did not penetrate the plastic box and hurt the sniper rifle inside. This engineering plastic box had actually been opened by the Moscow police, and they had seen what was inside. Ling Hao showed the relevant documents. After the police called and verified, they did not take away the sniper rifle from China for the small arms exhibition. If Ling Hao did not show the documents, they would definitely take the gun away. In fact, there was nothing to pack. There was only a suitcase and an engineering plastic box. Charlotte carried the engineering plastic box with one hand and dragged the suitcase with the other to the door. At this time, a hotel waitress came in with a cleaning cart. She had blonde hair and blue eyes and wore a mask. Charlotte suddenly stopped because he saw the face covered by the mask. She was not the hotel waitress, but Yelena. He did not expect that Yelena would be so bold to appear at this time. However, when he thought about it carefully, this was actually the safest time for him. Charlotte looked in the direction of the door. Fortunately, Ling Hao's door was closed. Yelena pretended to sweep the glass shards on the floor with a broom and said in Russian, "He had planned to meet you tomorrow, but after what happened, he was very worried about you, so he asked me to come and take a look." "Where is he?" Charlotte asked. "Just outside the hotel." Yelena said, "But you can't see him. Tell me, where are you going?" "The embassy," Charlotte said. "Okay, find a way to come out tomorrow afternoon." Yelena said. Charlotte said, "Will he see me?" "Depends on the opportunity." Yelena's eyes fell on the engineering plastic box in Charlotte's hands. Her eyes were burning. "Is that the sniper rifle you made?" Charlotte nodded and said, "I can't give it to you now." Footsteps came from outside the door. "I will walk out of the embassy tomorrow afternoon," Charlotte said, carrying the engineering plastic box and dragging the suitcase out. Yelena continued to clean the room, looking very dedicated. In the corridor, Tang Yuyin, who was also carrying an engineering plastic box and dragging a suitcase, said to Charlotte, "Have you finished packing? Don't leave anything behind." Charlotte said, "Don't worry, it's all packed." Ling Hao also came out of the room with a plastic box in his hand and a suitcase in his hand. He said, "The higher-ups have agreed and arranged for someone to pick us up. Hu Hao is waiting for us downstairs. Let's go." On the other side of the corridor, Yi Kuan came out of his room and saw the three of them dragging their suitcases. He said loudly, "Yuyan, where are you going?" Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at him and did not speak to him. Yi Kuan said shamelessly. Mr. Ling, where are you going? Ling Hao also glanced at Yi Kuan and did not speak to him. Charlotte said with a smile, Mr. Yi, why don't you ask me? This time, it was Yi Kuan's turn to be silent. He would ask anyone but Charlotte. At this time, a woman came out of his room and put a phone in Yi Kuan's hand. Yi Kuan picked up the phone and listened for a while. He softly replied with a hum before hanging up. Yu Yin, why didn't you tell us that you were going to the embassy? We were worried about not being able to find a place to go. Let's go to the embassy with you. We are all China people, so we could take care of each other, right? Yi Kuan's tone was a little teasing. Tang Yuyin lightly spat. This guy is really like a ghost that won't go away, just like a fly. Ling Hao looked at Charlotte. He's going to the embassy too. Are you going or not? This time, I'll let you decide. Charlotte thought for a while. Of course, why not? He had thought it through. Ling Hao had just made the call, and Yi Kuan already knew about the itinerary. Hiding was not an option. Instead of changing hotels, it was better to stay in the embassy. This way, the Russian mafia would not dare to do anything. In the embassy, he only needed to deal with the threat from Hanwoo Weapons Company, which was much easier for him. All right, let's go. Ling Hao turned around and left. Charlotte looked back at Yi Kuan, his eyes cold. Oomph. Yi Kuan snorted. Let's pack up and go to the embassy. The small arms exhibition was going to start in 2 days. There was not much time left, so of course he did not want to give up. Wherever Charlotte went, he would follow. He did not believe that he could not find an opportunity. Chapter 387. Don't move. I told you not to move. If you keep moving, I won't be able to poke the needle in. You're the one who made the blood. How can I not move? In the room, Tang Yin was sewing up Charlotte's wound with a surgical needle. Charlotte was bare-chested. His muscles were toned, but they were well-proportioned and good-looking. The wound that needed suturing was on his waist. It was a few centimeters long and was caused by glass shards. The wound was not serious, but Tang Yuyin insisted on treating him. The needle pierced through his flesh. Charlotte gasped in pain. A stream of blood flowed out of the wound and flowed from his waist to his underwear. There was a warm feeling on his buttocks. It was a very strange feeling. Tang Yuyin took a piece of gauze and stuffed it into Charlotte's belt. Her fingers and the gauze touched Charlotte's buttocks. What are you doing? Charlotte turned to look at Tang Yuyin. He was inexplicably nervous. Tang Yuyin rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Of course I'm wiping the blood off your face. Do you think I'm touching your buttocks? I wouldn't touch your smelly buttocks, even if you gave them to me. Charlotte was speechless. Charlotte was not only taken advantage of by her, but also scolded by her. He was already speechless. Do you still remember when I sewed up your buttocks in Afghanistan? Big sister, can you not mention that? Huh? Tang Yin laughed very happily. She did not know why, but she liked to tease Charlotte. However, when she thought of that scene, her face inexplicably turned red. A few minutes later, the surgery was completed. Do you still want me to wipe the blood off your buttocks? Tang Yuyin smiled slyly. Charlotte quickly stood up. No, I can do it myself. You can go back to sleep. Tang Yuyin shrugged. All right, I'll be right next door. Call me if you need anything. After Tang Yuyin left, Charlotte took off his blood-stained pants and went into the bathroom to take a shower. He was not worried that his wound would become infected. After all, it was only a small wound. When he was about to go to bed, Charlotte received a call from China. The call was from Anina. Lucas, it's me. Have you arrived in Moscow? Charlotte said, I'm already in Moscow. Why are you still awake? I can't sleep. Anina said, I was waiting for your call, but it didn't come. I was worried that something had happened to you, so I called you. Only then did Charlotte remember that he had told Anina that he would call her to let her know he was safe once he reached Moscow, but he had completely forgotten about it. However, it was not his fault. Ling Han and Tang Yuyin were always by his side, so it was not very convenient for him. Then there was the incident at the hotel that night. He was overwhelmed. I'm fine. Don't worry, Charlotte added apologetically. I'm really sorry to have made you worry. Anina smiled. Why are you apologizing to me? After a pause, she said, Oh right, I'm calling to tell you something else. What is it? Charlotte had a bad feeling. After you left, that Officer Tian came again. He took the 20XL 2500 sniper rifles with his men. He had the documents to take delivery of the goods, so I couldn't stop him. Also, not all the people he brought were soldiers. There were also some people in civilian clothes. Those people entered our workshop and said that it was an inspection. However, I suspect that those people were engineers or high-level machinists from Hanwha Weapons. Charlotte frowned. Qin Xiang didn't stop them? She couldn't, Anina said angrily. They showed their credentials from the equipment department and the inspection documents. We had no reason to stop them. I kept following those people. They were inspecting our production line, but they saw more of our modified lathes and some special equipment. Yes, some people even asked to see our blueprints, but I said no. That's too much. Charlotte could not help but clench his fists. But you don't have to worry. They could only see the exterior of our lathes. They couldn't see the internal structure, and they couldn't get our AI program and electrical circuits, Anina said. Now it seems that we're lucky that you prepared in advance. Otherwise, we would have been in a passive position. Charlotte had only been gone for a day, and the other party had already made a move. They were so brazen and arrogant. All right, those people from Hanwha Weapons even talked to our engineers and high-level machinists. They tried to poach our people in front of me and Qin Xiang. How did our people react? Two of the engineers seemed to be interested, but they didn't say anything. Anina was very worried. Lucas, how should we deal with this? Give them a raise to keep them? Charlotte thought for a moment. No, Hanwha Weapons is trying to poach people. The pay they're offering must be very high. In terms of money, we're no match for Hanwha Weapons. If they want to leave, let them go. But, Charlotte interrupted her. Anina, we're already offering the highest pay in the industry. This is a trap that Hanwha Weapons set for us. Think about it. If Hanwha Weapons poach people and we gave them a raise, how would the military factory develop? If they want to poach, let them. If they leave, we'll just hire them again. Yes, I'm relieved to hear that. Anina smiled. This way, we can even earn a sum of money from the breach of contract. Hee. The breach of contract was negligible. Charlotte had never thought of using this method to earn money. He was forced to do this. He felt helpless and angry. After chatting for a while, Charlotte hung up. After experiencing a battle, he quickly fell asleep after relaxing his body and mind. He had a dream. He dreamed of Princess Yongmei, Zhu Xianyue, who was lying in a jade coffin. She was not wearing any clothes. Whether it was her face or her body, she was breathtakingly beautiful. When he reached out to touch her, she suddenly opened her eyes. This time, he was not afraid. He looked at her quietly. Princess Yongmei smiled. She grabbed his hand and climbed out of the jade coffin. Without any words, she kissed him on the lips, unbuttoned his clothes, and then did that kind of thing with him in the ancient tomb that was full of love and passion. It was difficult to describe this strange dream with words. A ray of sunlight shone in through the window. There was a bird chirping in the treetops outside the window. Its voice was crisp and pleasant. Charlotte woke up abruptly. His body was soaked in sweat. There were still some beautiful images in his mind. They were very real and could not be erased. Then, he lifted the blanket and looked at the underwear he had just changed in last night. He smiled bitterly. He had to change again. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking came from the door. Lei, are you awake? Tang Yin's voice came from outside the door. Not yet. What's the matter? Charlotte took a new pair of underwear from the suitcase. The door was suddenly pushed open. Tang Yin suddenly covered her eyes. Charlotte also hurriedly covered his new underwear in front of his body. His face was red, and he said with shame and anger, "What are you doing?" I came to call you to eat breakfast." Tang Yin's face was also very red. "Haven't you seen enough?" Who wants to see that? I'll wait for you outside." Tang Yin hurriedly closed the door. In the room, Charlotte was very depressed. He could not help but mutter in his heart, "My relationship with her is so good that she can see me change underwear? Female pervert." After a few minutes, Charlotte went out the door. As expected, Tang Yin was still waiting for him at the door. Her delicate face was flushed red, as if she had drunk a little wine or had been stimulated by something. Obviously, the answer was the latter. Let's go." Charlotte was also very embarrassed. He did not want to talk about the embarrassing incident that just happened. Okay, let's go to the restaurant. Tang Yuyin was slightly relieved, but the blush on her face did not lessen at all. There were many people eating in the restaurant. Charlotte saw Ling Hao sitting alone at a table, quietly enjoying the breakfast provided by the embassy restaurant. He also saw Yi Kuan and several staff members of Hanwu Weapons. Those people were also looking at him, their eyes cold. Hu Hao did not appear in the restaurant. He had to guard the guns. Charlotte ordered 2 sets of breakfast, and then sat with Tang Yuyin at an empty table to eat. The breakfast was very sumptuous, but he did not have much of an appetite. Don't worry, this is our embassy, Tang Yuyin whispered. Yi Kuan won't dare to do anything here. Charlotte only nodded and did not say anything. In fact, he was not thinking about how to deal with Yi Kuan. Instead, he was thinking about how to get rid of Ling Hao and Tang Yuyin to meet his father, Xia Changhe. His father, Xia Changhe, was also in Moscow. This was the best opportunity to meet him, and he did not want to miss it this time. In his plan, it was not difficult to give his father, Xia Changhe, 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles. However, he did not expect Ling Hao to appear. He was a vigilant and difficult person to deal with. After interacting with Ling Hao for 2 days, he realized that this matter was not as simple as he thought. If he was not careful, he would be discovered by Ling Hao. Charlotte subconsciously glanced at Ling Hao. Coincidentally, Ling Hao was also looking at him, and their eyes met. Ling Hao nodded at Charlotte. Charlotte also smiled as a response. He thought to himself, with him here, if I give the 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles to Yelena or my father, he will definitely be suspicious. Now, that Hanwu Weapons is looking for trouble with me. If Yi Kuan finds out who I gave the guns to, he will definitely make a big deal out of it. Forget it, seeing my father is the most important thing. As for the guns, I will think of a way to deal with it later. At this time, Tang Yuyin suddenly kicked Charlotte lightly under the table. Did you forget your promise to me? What promise? Charlotte looked at her in confusion. Tang Yuyin wrinkled her pretty nose. You forgot so quickly? Yesterday at the hotel, you promised to go out with me for a walk. Charlotte said, so that's what you want. No problem, but you should talk to Ling Hao. If he agrees, we can go out now. Okay, wait for me. I will go talk to Ling Hao. Tang Yuyin was very anxious. She did not even want to eat breakfast, as she got up and walked towards Ling Hao. Tang Yuyin was full of anticipation as she explained the situation to Ling Hao. However, Ling Hao simply shook his head. If what happened last night did not happen, I would allow you to go out. However, after what happened last night, I cannot allow you to go out. Just stay in the embassy. If something happens to you and Charlotte, I will not be able to answer to the higher-ups. As if a basin of cold water was poured over her head, Tang Yuyin's head immediately drooped. This result was within Charlotte's expectations. He also felt troubled. If he could not go out with Tang Yuyin, he would have to think of a way to leave the embassy himself. Chapter 388. Charlotte had nothing to do the whole morning, wandering around the embassy. He was the busiest one in the whole team. He had already started a deal with the last part of the work for the Thunder Horse military factory to participate in a Moscow International Small Arms Exhibition. Tang Yuyin and Hu Hao were both asked to help, which made Charlotte happy. If Tang Yuyin was by his side, he would not have a chance to leave the embassy to see his father, Xia Changhe. Hanwu Weapons Company was also quiet, and a few employees were also busy dealing with the work for the Hanwu Weapons Company to participate in the weapons exhibition. Yi Kuan made a few phone calls, and Charlotte used his X-ray vision and lip reading to eavesdrop on those phone calls and got some information. 2 of the phone calls Yi Kuan made were to the country, asking about the talent poaching of the Thunder Horse military factory and the situation of the workshop. Another phone call was to Mu Jianfeng. It was also related to the Thunder Horse military factory. There was also a phone call to someone in the equipment department, asking about the acceptance of the first batch of XL 2500S. A few phone calls allowed Xia Lei to see the truth clearly, which was that the Hanwu Weapons Company led by Yi Kuan would not give up on encircling the Thunder Horse military factory. He also understood one thing, And that was in this battle with the Hanwha Weapons Company, he had to break out of the encirclement. Otherwise, he would fall under the hunting rifle of the arms oligarch, led by Yi Kuan. Charlotte thought that Yi Kuan would contact Xiaoxian, but Yi Kuan was very cunning and did not do so. Just like that, the morning passed, and it was close to lunchtime when Charlotte appeared at the entrance of the embassy. "I'm sorry, Mr. Xia." The soldier guarding the door blocked Charlotte's way. Mr. Ling said, "You can't go out." Charlotte frowned. "Why can't I go out?" "This is Mr. Ling's order. Please ask Mr. Ling." The soldier guarding the door was neither humble nor overbearing. "We are just following orders. Please forgive us." Not only could he make Tang Yuyan listen to his orders, but he could also command the embassy's soldiers. This Ling Han's identity was really not simple. "Forget it. I just want to go out and buy something. If that's the case, then I won't go out." Charlotte pretended to be indifferent and then left the door. A small container truck carrying vegetables, grains, and oil stopped at the gate. The driver got off the truck and talked to the soldiers guarding the gate. The driver was a Russian lady. She was very fat and could speak fluent Mandarin. Although her Mandarin was very poor, it was still commendable. The soldier guarding the door looked at the Russian lady's pass and let her open the container to take a look. He didn't get in the car to check and let her pass. The Russian woman drove the container truck to the unloading dock behind the restaurant. When she passed by Charlotte, she even honked at Charlotte. Xiaolei suddenly had an idea as he looked at the small container truck that passed by him. It was time for lunch. Charlotte was the first to go to the restaurant. He ordered a working meal and sat at a table, eating slowly. While he was eating, he kept staring at the wall inside the restaurant and used his left eye to observe the situation of the small container truck. The restaurant staff was unloading the Russian woman. The speed was not fast. It seemed that it would take another 10 minutes to finish unloading. The Russian woman seemed to be dissatisfied with the restaurant staff's speed. She muttered and then walked in the direction of the bathroom. Charlotte withdrew his gaze. At this time, Tang Yuyan and Ling Hao walked into the restaurant. "Lei, aren't you too lazy?" Tang Yuyan complained as soon as she came. "We've been busy for a long time, but you're sitting here eating." Charlotte smiled. "Mr. Ling is in charge of this work. My work is at the exhibition. It's not the time for me to be busy." Tang Yuyan pursed her lips. "I knew you'd say that. I don't care. After the exhibition, you have to take me out to play. It's compensation." Charlotte readily agreed. "No problem. After the exhibition, I'll accompany you wherever you want to go." The two talked and laughed. Ling hadn't come over. He still sat alone at a table, eating his working meal. Charlotte secretly said in his heart, "Ling Hao's character is so eccentric. Will he have no friends?" Tang Yuyan blinked at Charlotte and whispered, "What are you going to do this afternoon?" Charlotte tentatively said, "What do you want to do? How about playing games with me?" "To hit your head. I'm sleepy. I want to sleep." Charlotte got up. "Don't bother me. I don't know how to play games." Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Charlotte and muttered, "Stingy." Charlotte left the restaurant and quickly went around to the back of the restaurant. The restaurant staff had finished unloading the goods, but the Russian woman hadn't come out of the bathroom. This was the opportunity Charlotte wanted. He climbed into the container truck and closed the door. There were many empty plastic boxes in the truck, which gave him a place to hide. Less than 2 minutes after Charlotte hid, the Russian woman came back. She just glanced at the closed door and didn't check it. Then she got into the driver's seat and drove away. The process of leaving the embassy gate was also very smooth. The guards didn't open the door to check. They just talked with the Russian woman for a while and then let her go. The Russian woman drove the small container truck into the street and drove north. In the container truck, Charlotte removed the battery and SIM card from the phone. At the same time, he used his left eye to observe the situation outside, waiting for the opportunity to get out of the car. Suddenly, the container truck started playing music. It was the famous Russian song, "Evening on the Outskirts of Moscow." Amidst the old-fashioned music, Xiaolei realized that there was a very small speaker in the cargo compartment, and the music was coming from that small speaker. Just as Charlotte left his hiding place and was about to open the door of the container truck, the Russian woman's voice came from the small speaker. "Don't get out of the car. We'll be there soon." Charlotte froze on the spot. He was surprised that the Russian woman not only knew that he was in the car, but also said that she would be there soon. A thought came to his mind. Who is she? The Russian woman's voice came from the small speaker again. Don't be nervous. We're on the same side. Charlotte smiled bitterly and gave up the idea of jumping out of the car. He carefully recalled the process of the woman driving into the embassy and then driving away, but the whole process didn't reveal a single flaw. Even he didn't see it, let alone the staff in the embassy. At least Ling Hao and Tang Yin wouldn't find out. The small container truck continued to drive north and stopped half an hour later. Charlotte activated the ability of his left eye and looked outside the container truck. He found that he was no longer in the center of Moscow, but near the outskirts. The container truck stopped in front of a warehouse. The location of the warehouse was very remote, and there were no pedestrians around. The Russian woman pressed the horn 3 times, and the shutter door of the warehouse rolled up. When the location was almost there, the Russian woman drove into the warehouse. The small container truck finally stopped, and the Russian woman opened the door. Charlotte jumped out of the car. There were a lot of frozen pork and frozen fish in the warehouse. The air conditioning was blowing, and the temperature was very low. However, except for the frozen pork and fish, he didn't see Yelena or his father, Xia Changhe. He wanted to use his X-ray vision, but soon gave up. His vision couldn't penetrate so many hanging frozen pigs. The Russian woman stared at Charlotte and said, "Where's the gun?" Charlotte said, "I'm afraid I'll only have the chance after the exhibition. I can't give it to you now." The Russian woman frowned. "You made the gun, and it's so troublesome." Charlotte asked tentatively, "Who are you?" The Russian woman smiled, then reached out and rubbed her chin a few times. Then she grabbed her face and pulled it up. In the blink of an eye, the wrinkled woman's face disappeared, and it was replaced by a young and beautiful face. She was Yelena. The human skin mask in her hand was exquisite and realistic, and it was amazing. Xiaolei finally came to his senses. No wonder a middle-aged woman had appeared when he needed to escape from the consulate the most. He didn't expect that the woman was Yelena, and she came to pick him up. "If I didn't get in your car, what would you have done?" Charlotte asked. Yelena smiled. "You didn't know how to take advantage of such an opportunity, so I have nothing to say. Also, I purposely went to the bathroom to give you a chance to get in the car." Charlotte shrugged. "Where's my father?" Yelena reached into the driver's seat and pressed the horn twice. The sound of footsteps came from the depths of the warehouse, and a middle-aged man entered Charlotte's line of sight. He wore a gray jacket, black leather shoes with big toes, and a gray cap. Although the cap covered half of his face, Charlotte recognized him at a glance. He was his father, Xia Changhe. Charlotte opened his mouth and wanted to say "Dad," but his mouth couldn't make sound. When he saw Xia Changhe, his mind went blank, and the feelings in his heart were extremely complicated. "You guys talk. I'll go out and watch." Yelena left. Xia Changhe walked in front of Charlotte and looked at Charlotte quietly. There was a smile at the corner of his mouth, and his heart was full of excitement and joy. Charlotte also looked straight at Xia Changhe. At this time, his mind was no longer blank. Many past events flashed through his mind like a movie being rewound. When he was young, his father went shopping behind his back and bought him candy. When he was in school, his father walked with him through the busy streets. At night, his father made sweet and sour spare ribs for him and his sister. Gradually, Charlotte's eyes became moist, and he finally called out, "Dad." Xia Changhe opened his arms and hugged Charlotte. "Lei." This call also made Xia Changhe's tears flow out. Before they met, Charlotte still had a grudge against Xia Changhe, but after meeting him, he realized that he couldn't hate his father at all. "Lei, it's been hard on you all these years," Xia Changhe said. Charlotte took a deep breath. "Dad, why? Do you know how I've been living these years? Sometimes I hide in the quilt and cry. I don't dare to let Xia Xue know. I want you by my side so much, but you've been gone for 6 years, and there's no news at all." Although he couldn't hate Xia Changhe in his heart, these words had been stuck in his heart for several years. He had to say it out. Xia Changhe sighed. "I know I'm sorry to you and Xia Xue, and I don't expect you to forgive me. However, you have to believe me that I have to do this. If I come back, not only can I not help you, but but I will also bring danger to you. Only when I disappear from this world will you be the safest. More importantly, I must fight for the time you need." Xiao Lei was stunned for a moment. "You know everything?" Xiao Changhe let go of Charlotte and said, "You come with me. This is not the place to talk." Charlotte nodded and followed Xiao Changhe to the depths of the warehouse. Chapter 389. At the back of the warehouse, there was a small room with a bed, a table, and 2 sofas. It was very simple, but very clean. In front of the room was a river, and across the river was a construction site, which was silent. "I lived here for a while," Xiao Changhe said, and then asked Charlotte to sit down on the sofa. Charlotte sat down on the sofa. "Dad, there are a lot of things I don't understand. We finally met, and I want to figure out those things." Xiao Changhe sat opposite Charlotte. "I know, and now it's time to tell you the truth." Charlotte looked at his father, quietly waiting for him to continue. "I believe you already know that I am not an ordinary person." Xiao Changhe slowly said, "I am a member of the FA organization, that is a freelance agent called Free Agent. This organization was born 100 years ago during World War I. You can't imagine how powerful and mysterious it is." How did you join this FA organization?" Charlotte couldn't help but interrupt. Xiao Changhe smiled bitterly. "I am an orphan, and I grew up in an orphanage. One day, a person came to the orphanage and took me away. But it was not the kind of adoption you think. I was taken to Siberia, where I received cruel training. There are children from all over the world, the United States, Germany, England, Japan, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. You can see on the map, orphans were sent there. The FA organization is a world organization, and it has a body to select its members, and I am just one of them." Charlotte then understood why he had never seen his grandparents. Xiao Changhe continued, "I stayed in Siberia for 15 years, and many people died. Those who passed the final test and survived were also sent back to their original countries, lurking and waiting for missions. During that time, I got to know your mother." Charlotte felt a slight pain in his heart. The memory of his mother was a little blurred. "I know that people like me shouldn't get close to her, but I still couldn't control myself. I fell in love, and for the first time, I felt like a human being. So we got married, and then we had you and Xia Shui. I survived between my family and the FA organization, performing missions for the FA organization while playing the role of a husband and father in my family." "Does the FA organization know about me and my sister?" asked Charlotte. Xiao Changhe said, "3 people know, but they are already dead. I won't let them live. No matter who dares to threaten you and your sister, I'll kill them." Charlotte's heart trembled. His father was actually such a ruthless character. This was a completely different person from the ordinary and honest father in his memory. "I'm most sorry to your mother. She didn't know my true identity until she got sick and passed away. Right after your mother passed away, I received a mission to investigate the AE Research Center in the United States. I took a few new generation elites of the FA organization and spent almost 2 years to investigate the secret of the AE Research Center, which is the AE capsule, a drug that can make human beings fully evolve. It just so happened that during that period, you were sick and often had inexplicable headaches, and your health was getting worse and worse. I took you to the hospital for an examination, and the doctor told me that there was a tumor in your head that was inoperable. You could only live for less than a year. So Xiao Changhe nodded. When your mother died, she told me to take good care of you and your sister, and I promised her, I won't watch you die like this. I stole 12 AE capsules from the AE Research Center and let you take them. This was the only hope to keep you alive. Many past events emerged in Charlotte's mind. You asked me to take 1 AE capsule every month, and I took 11. But how could the AE capsule treat the tumor in my brain? Xiao Changhe shook his head. I'm not a biologist, and I don't know how it did it, but I know that evolution is a very mysterious and powerful force. This force can change your body to be more perfect and powerful. In fact, when I was carrying out this mission, I got a lot of information. I was convinced that the AE capsule could keep you alive, otherwise I wouldn't have stolen them. Charlotte subconsciously touched the alloy pendant on his neck. He had taken 11 of the 12 AE capsules. If he took the last one, what would he get? I know you still have one. Xia Changhe looked at Charlotte. When are you going to take it? Charlotte thought for a moment and said, I really want to take it, and I want to know what it will bring, but I also want to know what it is made of. I also investigated it, and I know that they are unique, so I don't want to take it for now. I also have a question. Since it is unique, how did the AE Research Center get it? Who produced them? The United States? Xia Changhe was silent for a moment, then said, current human technology can't reach this level. They were excavated. Charlotte was stunned. The information I got was that during World War II, when Japan invaded Nanjing, they found an ancient book from the Ming Dynasty in a library. There was some incredible content recorded on it, which was related to E. The fact that a book from a Ming Dynasty had the letters in it was an unimaginable thing. However, the Japanese were busy invading our land and didn't pay much attention to this matter. Later, World War II ended and Japan surrendered. The United States military took over Japan and found the book. The Americans began to study it, looking for clues in the book, and finally found the AE capsule in Jerusalem. All of this was like a bizarre and dazzling fairy tale. The Japanese invaders occupied Nanjing and found the ancient book from the Ming Dynasty. The Americans took over Japan after World War II, found clues, and found the AE capsule in Jerusalem. But in the end, these AE capsules somehow ended up in the stomach of a Chinese teenager. Was this fate? Xia Changhe continued. If the Americans were given more time, they might be able to solve the secret of the AE capsule. But unfortunately, you can't wait that long. I stole them and gave them to you. Because of this, I am wanted worldwide by the CIA, and I'm also being hunted by the FA organization. Under such circumstances, how can I meet you and your sister? Charlotte smiled bitterly. So, even the AE Research Center is not sure about the origin and secret of the AE capsule? Xia Changhe shook his head. I can tell you for sure that no one in the world knows the secret of the AE capsule. What about the ancient alloy I dug up in Afghanistan? It also has the AE mark on it. Xia Changhe said, my investigation has never stopped, so I asked Yelena to find you and ask you to give me that piece of metal. However, what you did was also right. You gave it to the Chinese government. After all, the source of the AE capsule was found in China, so it could be considered a kind of home. More importantly, with your identity in 101 innings, you also had the opportunity to come into contact with that metal, so I gave up. However, Xiaolei knew very well that if it were someone else holding that piece of ancient alloy, his father, Xia Changhe, wouldn't be so open-minded. He might even kill that person and take that piece of ancient alloy away. Although I did my best, you were still discovered by the CIB in the end. They sent a Chinese intelligence officer, Liang Xiao, to contact you. During that time, I really wanted to kill Liang Xiao. However, she was very powerful, and she had people from the CIA protecting her. Later, I found out that Liang Xiao had no intention of hurting you. I only sent Yevgenia to inform you, but I didn't expect her to kill her. Speaking of this, Xia Changhe smiled. What's more interesting is that she fell in love with you, and you fell in love with her, so I couldn't kill her. If that happened, you wouldn't forgive me. Charlotte couldn't help but smile bitterly. His love with Liang Xiao was a mistake. So, what else do you want to ask me? Xia Changhe looked at Charlotte, his eyes full of kindness. Charlotte said, you've told me everything you can. I have nothing else to ask, but I still want to ask. How far have you investigated the secret of AE? Xia Changhe said, right now, you know as much as I do. It's up to you to find out the secret of AE. Son, only you have the opportunity to come into contact with that compass and that metal. I will help you in secret. With us father and son working together, we have a chance to uncover the mystery. Charlotte originally wanted to leave 101 innings, but now it seemed that this plan had to be postponed. If he left 101 innings, how could he come into contact with that compass and the ancient alloy? There were some people you didn't want to see, but you couldn't get rid of them. There were some things you didn't want to do, but you had to do it. Son, you have to be careful. Xia Changhe exhorted. My identity is special. Once the people in 101 innings find out, you'll be in trouble. Charlotte said, I've already been targeted. Who? Xia Changhe frowned. Charlotte said, I don't know who it is yet, but I'm sure of this. But you don't have to worry. I haven't done anything wrong to the country, nor have I done anything illegal. In fact, I've always been serving the country, and they won't ignore my contributions and role. In other words, even if they find out your identity one day, I believe that the people above will give me fairness. Xia Changhe sighed. I'm relieved that you think this way. However, I'm still worried that your enemies will use this to attack you. Charlotte nodded. I'll be careful. After a pause, he said, You're my father. No matter what your identity is, you'll always be my father. This will never change. I'm upright. If they want to use this to attack me, then bring it on. I won't back down, and I won't be afraid. Xia Changhe smiled. With such a son, how could he not be proud? However, at this moment, Yelena's voice came from the house. Go. Chapter 390. The sound came from a small speaker installed under the table, which seemed to be the work of Yelena. There was also such a sound transmission device in the small container truck. However, this was not the time to think about this. Almost at the same time he heard Yelena's voice, Charlotte stood up and looked nervous. Is it the CIB? Xia Changhe quickly walked to a wall and said, I'm afraid not. The CIB doesn't dare to be presumptuous in Moscow. It may be the FA organization. I am now their most wanted person, and they want to get rid of me more than the CIB. Xia Changhe reached out and patted the wall. The seemingly flat wall suddenly opened to the left and right, revealing a hidden cabinet. There were dozens of guns in the cabinet, including long guns, short guns, stun bombs, grenade launchers, and everything else. It was enough to equip a platoon. There was also a very exquisite box in the hidden cabinet, but it was unknown what it contained. Xia Changhe took out the box and handed it to Charlotte. Charlotte didn't use his X-ray vision on it. He just asked casually, Dad, what is this? This is my gift to you. Open it and put it on. Xia Changhe began to take out the gun. Charlotte opened the box and found a very delicate human skin mask inside. It looked like it was peeled off from a living person's face. It also had hair, very long, very thick, very clean, and very glossy. Put on. Don't let the freelance agents of the FA organization see your face, or you will become their target. Xia Changhe urged. Charlotte no longer hesitated and put on the human skin mask. It was actually like a headgear, and it was easy to put on. He reached out and touched his face. It didn't feel like plastic or silicone. It felt like human skin, but without temperature. Xia Changhe put an AK-12 and 2 grenades in Charlotte's hands. Take this, Yelena, and I will cover you to leave. No matter what happens, you have to leave. Understand? Charlotte was about to say that he would not abandon him, but he saw that Xia Changhe's eyes were full of majesty. That feeling was just like when he was a child. He nodded. At this time, Yelena rushed into the house and said anxiously, Why are you still here? Let's go. How many? Xia Changhe was very calm. As he spoke, he also took out a shotgun and a pistol for Yelena. I found 4, but I'm sure there are more than 4. Yelena quickly reloaded the shotgun and walked out. Let's leave through the river before they surround us. The 3 of them left the hut and quickly ran towards the river. The water in the river was not deep. It could probably reach a person's knees. The river was overgrown with weeds, making it easy to hide in. As long as he crossed the river and entered the construction site, it would be much easier to escape this pursuit. However, before the 3 of them rushed to the river, Yelena, who was running in the front, suddenly swayed. It was a bullet that flew past her arm, leaving a wound on her arm. Although the bullet did not stay in her arm, blood came out. Before Yelena could finish her words, Charlotte threw her to the ground. Almost at the same time, the second bullet hit the ground where she had just been. The grass and leaves danced and the mud splashed. Tut, tut, tut. A wave of bullets suddenly flew from behind, and the whooshing sound was like a storm. Xiao Changhe also suddenly lay down in the grass, not daring to show his head. As soon as he lay down, at least a dozen bullets whizzed over his head. Some of the tall weeds were cut in half, dancing in the wind, and then floated down. We're surrounded. Yelena looked grim. There's a sniper on the other side. They've been ready for this for a long time. Xiao Changhe patted Charlotte's shoulder. You climb from the left side and get out of here. Yelena and I will hold them back. Remember what I just told you. No matter what happens, you don't need to worry about it. No, Charlotte said flatly. At this time, how can I leave you alone? You're my father. You. Xiao Changhe raised his hand angrily, but didn't hit him. His son was no longer the thin son from a few years ago. How could he still teach Charlotte a lesson like before? Don't worry, I can deal with him, Charlotte said. He had awakened the ability of his left eye, and his brain began to work rapidly, analyzing and calculating everything here. Xiao Changhe didn't know Charlotte's state at the moment. He said seriously, Son, they are not the CIA. They're the killers of the FA organization. They are more powerful and cold-blooded than any opponent you have ever encountered. Charlotte no longer argued with Xiao Changhe. He took out a grenade, pulled out the safety bolt, and threw it into the weeds in the river. Boom! With a loud explosion, the grass and mud were thrown into the air by the shock wave of the explosion. What are you doing? Yelena looked at Charlotte in confusion. There's no one there. Do you want to kill the sniper with a grenade? Charlotte didn't explain. A fire had been ignited across the river. The dry weeds were burning wildly, and the fire was spreading rapidly. The billowing smoke also rose, blocking the sniper's sight. Yelena didn't ask because she already knew what Charlotte was doing. Charlotte took the AK-12 and crawled in the direction of the hut. The grass was too dense, which also affected his ability to see through it. He couldn't see through the thousands of weeds to see the target, so he needed to shorten the distance. Tut, 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 tut. The enemy was still shooting blindly, but they were shooting in the area near the river. The FA organization's killer puppets surrounding this place were experienced killers, but their excessive experience made them make a wrong judgment. They thought that Charlotte ignited the weeds across the river to block the sniper's sight and find an opportunity to cross the river, so as to get rid of their pursuit. However, who would have thought that Charlotte would do the opposite and hunt them instead? Xiao Changhe and Yelena looked at each other, but both of them looked confused. They didn't understand why Charlotte did this, because once they were discovered, with the enemy's firepower, the three of them had no chance of survival. However, Xiao Changhe and Yelena still followed Charlotte to the hut, because they had no choice but to believe in Charlotte. As they got closer and closer, the first figure finally appeared in Charlotte's left eye. It was a white man, tall, with a black headgear on his head. He was also wearing a black combat suit, a bulletproof vest, and several weapons hung on his belt. He was armed to the teeth. The white gunman squatted in the grass, vigilantly observing the area by the river, and fired from time to time. Charlotte's eyes moved to the left of the white gunman, and soon found another one 10 meters away from him. It was a black killer with the same equipment as the white killer. Then he enhanced the X-ray vision of his left eye and found the rest of the killers. There were a total of 6 killers, one every 10 meters, surrounding the grassland in a fan shape, looking out for each other and slowly moving forward. These 6 killers, plus the sniper hidden in the opposite construction site, were simply a sure kill situation. However, their opponent was Charlotte. Charlotte extended the AK-12 and aimed the muzzle at the white killer in front of him. Without hesitation, he locked his left eye on the target and pulled the trigger. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and a bullet instantly pierced through the white gunman's head. He was wearing a bulletproof vest, but there was no bullet cover on his head. The moment the bullet hit him, he also died without a trace of struggle. There! Someone roared. Bang! Another gunshot rang out. Before the person who roared could fire a shot, a bullet pierced through the bridge of his nose, blowing off his nose and creating a terrifying hole in his head. Brain juice, blood, and bone fragments burst out from his face. It was a terrifying scene. Tut! 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 The remaining 4 killers shot in Charlotte's direction, but they couldn't see where Charlotte was. Xia Changhe and Yelena fired back. They didn't dare to come out, but they were able to suppress the other side with their guns. While his father Xia Changhe and Yelena were suppressing the gunfire, Charlotte had moved to another place. He aimed, fired, and killed. Every time he fired a shot, a FA organization killer fell to the ground. In this dense grassland, the FA organization killers, who were supposed to be the hunters, became the prey, and the prey was blindfolded. Fighting in such an environment, no matter how powerful they were no match for Charlotte. The last FA organization killer fell to the grass, and a bullet fired from Charlotte's AK-12 hit his eye. And he didn't see who killed him until he died. He didn't even know where his opponent was. After killing the last FA organization killer, Charlotte's eyes moved to the construction site across the river. The place was still shrouded in smoke. His left eye pierced through the smoke and landed on a building that had yet to be completed. He saw a person moving quickly, and that person was carrying a plastic box. There was no doubt that this person was the sniper, and he had given up his mission. After confirming the situation, Charlotte stood up from the grass. "What are you doing?" Xia Changhe shouted at him. "There is another sniper." Xia Lei said faintly, "Dad, he's already gone." Xia Changhe was shocked. He was very clear about the situation on the opposite side. The building where the sniper was located was no less than 800 meters away, and there was smoke blocking his sight. How could Charlotte see that the sniper had left? Charlotte walked to Xia Changhe's side and whispered in his ear, "The E capsule has brought me some strange changes. My eyes can see far away, and I can even see through walls. So far, I have only told you this secret." Xia Changhe was not an outsider. He didn't need to hide it from his father, not to mention that the AE capsule was given to him by his father. "Ha ha!" Xia Changhe laughed. I know. Then he hugged Charlotte in his arms. "This is your destiny. I am happy and proud of you." At this time, Yelena, who was examining the body, said, "They are night walkers." "Night walkers?" Charlotte heard it for the first time. Yelena smiled bitterly. "The FA organization's killer group. This is a team, but I didn't see their leader." After a pause, she said, "I hope it is not Night Mona." "Night Mona? Is she very powerful?" Charlotte couldn't help but ask. "It is said that there is no one in this world that she can't kill." Yelena said, "She is one of the most powerful killers in the FA organization, but your father and I have never seen her." Xia Changhe said, "Don't worry about it. Yelena, take Charlotte back to the embassy." Charlotte said, "Dad, when will we meet again? There will be a chance." Xia Changhe smiled. "One day our family will be reunited." Charlotte nodded heavily and then left with Yelena. Chapter 391. Although the meeting with his father, Xia Changhe, didn't unravel the secret of Yi, he learned about his father's life and what he had done. This was enough for Charlotte. His father, Xia Changhe, gave him 2 lives. His sudden disappearance was also to avoid the double pursuit of the CIB and the FA organization. What reason did he have to hate his father? Knowing the truth was equivalent to untying the knot in his heart. On the way back to the embassy, Charlotte was in a good mood. Occasionally, when he thought of the interesting past with his father when he was a child, he would smile. "Your nerves are really thick." Yelena, who once again turned into a Russian woman, broke the silence in the car. "Those people are killers from the FA organization. I'm still very nervous. However, you're really too powerful. You killed 6 of them by yourself." Charlotte just smiled and didn't say anything. However, he knew very well that if they had fought in another place and he was exposed to the FA organization killers, the result would have been different. Yelena sighed. "After sending you back, your father and I are going to flee again. We will disappear for a while. You'd better keep a low profile." By the way, Charlotte suddenly remembered something. "What do you want to say?" Yelena glanced at Charlotte. "Forget it. Nothing," Charlotte said. He originally wanted to ask Yelena to help investigate the Russian gang that came to assassinate him last night, but thinking that she and his father, Xia Changhe, were being chased by the FA organization, he dispelled the idea. Previously, when talking with his father, Xia Changhe, he actually wanted to bring it up, but he didn't expect the FA organization killers to appear at that critical moment. Yelena smiled. I know what you want even if you don't say it. What you want is in the storage box. Open it. Charlotte was surprised. You know what I want? Open it and take a look. Charlotte opened the storage box on the passenger seat. There was a folder inside. He untied the string on the bag and pulled out its contents. It was a document and some photos. He saw a familiar face in those photos, and the owner of that face had been killed by him last night. It was very clear what information was contained in the file. Those gangsters who tried to assassinate you last night are from a gang called Violent Bear, said Yelena. Their leader is called Sergey. This organization has business in South Korea, mainly car smuggling, arms and drugs. Your opponent, and Xiaoxian, is very close to Sergey. Do you know what I want to say? Charlotte said, I already know. It was in Xiaoxian who bribed him. Yelena said, this is Russia. Don't go against the Grizzly Bear organization. They have a lot of people, and they're all brainless lunatics. It's not worth it to fight them. The best place to deal with in Xiaoxian was in China. After this period, if you need me, your father and I will help you deal with him. Charlotte thought for a moment. I'll deal with it myself. You take care of my father. His father, Xia Changhe, and Yelena were powerful helpers, but they were all being chased by the CIA and the FA organization. Every time they were exposed, they would face the threat of death. He didn't know it before, but now he knew. He didn't want his father to take the risk. Yelena said, we'll talk about it when the time comes. We can't decide the future now. Charlotte nodded and thought about something. Yelena parked the car a few hundred meters away from the embassy. Charlotte got out of the car and walked over. Yelena turned the car around and left, quickly disappearing into the flow of traffic. Xiaolei turned around to take a look, feeling lost in his heart. He didn't know when he could see his father again. Charlotte didn't go through the front door. Instead, he walked to the back wall of the embassy. He wanted to find a blind spot from the surveillance and climb over the wall. Unfortunately, there was no blind spot at all. There were also soldiers standing guard on the roof of the embassy, monitoring the situation around the embassy from a bird's-eye view. Finally, he bit the bullet and went to the gate of the embassy. Fortunately, the soldiers who stopped him had changed shifts. Although the soldiers on duty stopped him, they asked about the situation and checked his pass before letting him in. Ling Hao was still busy in an office. He didn't seem to notice that Charlotte had left. This was possible because if he found out that Charlotte suddenly disappeared from the embassy, he would definitely take action. At least, he would send people to look for him. Charlotte sneaked back to his room. Everything was normal in the room except for the plastic box. Xiaolei immediately became nervous. Could have been stolen by Yi Kun. However, Ling Hao and Tang Yin were not easy to deal with. It was impossible for Yi Kun and the people around him to steal his gun under their noses. If it wasn't Yi Kun, then who took it? Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly. He immediately saw Tang Yuyin standing outside the door. She was holding the plastic box that he lost. He heaved a sigh of relief and went to open the door. Tang Yuyin entered the door and waited until Charlotte closed the door before saying, "Where did you go?" Charlotte had already prepared an excuse in his heart. After lunch, I found a motorcycle rider. It was very suspicious. It was very likely that he was one of the people who tried to assassinate me last night. I climbed over the wall and chased after him. Tang Yuyin frowned. "Don't lie to me." Charlotte smiled. "Why would I lie to you?" "Then what did you find?" Tang Yuyin said, "Don't tell me you didn't find anything." Charlotte said, "I found out that the gunmen who tried to assassinate us last night were from a Russian mafia called Grizzly Bear. Their leader is called Sergey. Grizzly Bear has business in South Korea. They smuggle cars, arms, and drugs. Sergey is very familiar with Xiaoxian. I don't need to say it. You know who arranged it last night, right? You mean Xiaoxian is the mastermind?" Tang Yuyin looked very surprised. Charlotte said, "It's not just him. There is another one right next to us. You know who I'm talking about?" "Yi Kun?" Charlotte said, "Yes." "Damn it," Tang Yuyin said angrily. "He dared to do this. And that in Xiaoxian, they'd better not let me get anything on them. Yi Kuan and in Xiaoxian, no matter which one, were heavy opponents. Even if they knew it was them, there was no way to pursue it. This was a kind of helplessness, but also the best interpretation of today's world. Tang Yuyin suddenly looked at Charlotte with a strange look. You've only been out for more than 2 hours, and you've found so much? Charlotte said, in today's world, as long as you are willing to spend money, what can't you buy? I caught up with the motorcyclist and took him down. I spent 100,000 euros to get him. Tang Yuyin smiled bitterly. You really know how to spend money. You actually spent 100,000 euros on such a piece of information. Charlotte said, I spent more on the mission in Afghanistan. I haven't been reimbursed yet. Tang Yuyin sighed. Forget it. Hu Hao and I are the only ones who know about this. He was going to tell Ling Hao, but I stopped him. But there can't be a next time. The next time you have an operation, you must call me. Okay. Charlotte agreed. He was full of lies, but there was nothing he could do. Fortunately, he had the information provided by Yelena. Otherwise, it would be hard to make up this lie. Tang Yuyin handed the engineering plastic box to Charlotte. After you left, I was worried about Yi Kuan and his people, so I brought your gun to my room. Now that you're back, you can keep it. Charlotte opened it and took a look, then closed the engineering plastic box. Is there any movement from Yi Kuan? Tang Yuyin said, no, they are also busy with the weapons exhibition. But at this moment, there was a knock on the door, and then a woman's voice came. Mr. Xia, are you in the room? Without X-ray vision, Charlotte knew that the woman outside the door was Yi Kuan's secretary. Chunman. Charlotte opened the door. What do you want? Chunman smiled and said politely, it's like this, Mr. Xia. Chairman, you would like to invite you over for a cup of tea. Charlotte said, no need. Chunman didn't give up. Chairman, Yi has something to talk to you about. Charlotte said coldly. I have nothing to say to him. You can go. Chunman smiled. Mr. Xia, Chairman Yi said you will regret it if you don't go. Charlotte frowned. Are you threatening me? Chunman said, I don't dare. At this time, Yi Kuan walked out of his room and said in a low voice, Mr. Xia, are you not going to give me face? Charlotte just looked at him coldly. He didn't even want to say a word to him. Yi Kuan walked over slowly with a sneer on his face. Since that's the case, I'll be straightforward. I found out something very interesting. Mr. Xia, do you still remember the deal between you and the Shenzhou Industrial Group? The smart machine tool deal. I just found out that the machine tool was brought back from Germany. You also brought back a German woman named Anina. Really? Xiao Lei's heart sank, and a wave of anger rose in his heart. What are you trying to say? Yi Kuan said in a strange tone, I don't know what the Germans would do if they knew that the woman was in your company. How dare you? Charlotte grabbed Yi Kuan's collar. His eyes were terrifyingly cold. Yi Kuan wasn't scared by Charlotte. Instead, he laughed. You care about her a lot? Woman or company? Choose one. I'll give you one last chance. 5 billion. Your company and the design of your XL 2500 sniper rifle will belong to me. After this deal, we will still be friends. In the future, Hanwoo Weapon Company will give you many big orders. How about it? Think about it. Charlotte pulled Yi Kuan in front of him. His other hand clenched into a fist. Let him go, Ling Hao said. Ling Hao's voice came from the hallway. Charlotte didn't let go. He didn't loosen his fist either. He hated being threatened the most, especially when it came to the people around him. At this moment, he wanted to beat Yi Kuan into a pig's head. Ha ha ha! Yi Kuan laughed. You don't dare to hit me? Then please let me go. Although you don't respect me, I'm still willing to give you a chance. Accept my suggestion. Charlotte, let him go. Ling Hao was already close. However, at that moment, Xiao Lei's hand suddenly pushed forward. The slightly plump Yi Kuan immediately hit the wall and fell to the ground. You dash! Yi Kuan was furious. Mr. Ling, did you see that? Is this how it's going to be resolved? Ling Hao said calmly, I'm not the police. I don't know how to resolve this. If you want a suggestion, I suggest you fight him. Are you willing? Yi Kuan was speechless. Charlotte moved in front of Yi Kuan and lowered his voice. Listen to me. No matter what dirty tricks you use, I won't sell my military factory to you. If you have the guts to report to Germany, treason will be waiting for you. By then, Even if the people at 101 innings don't kill you, I will. Yi Kuen's eyes were vicious. He didn't say a word. Chapter 392. Moscow International Small Arms Exhibition. After many obstacles and difficulties, the Thunder Horse Military Factory's XL 2500 sniper rifle was placed on the exhibition stand of the Moscow International Exhibition Center. Russia and the West were in a state of tension, but this did not prevent Western arms dealers from taking their weapons to the exhibition and looking for buyers. China had two military companies participating in the exhibition. One was Hanwoo Weapons Company, and the other was Thunder Horse Military Factory. Hanwoo Weapons Company enjoyed a certain reputation in the Third World, and there was no lack of buyers in Africa, Latin America, South America, and the Middle East. There were also a lot of weapons exhibited this time. There were dozens of light weapons, and the exhibition hall was also astonishingly large. No one knew about the Thunder Horse Military Factory. It was said that in the eyes of European and American businessmen, it was unknown even in the Third World. It also had a pitiful number of weapons on display, only 4 sniper rifles. The exhibition hall was also located in an inconspicuous corner. Not to mention businessmen, there was not even a single tourist. Tang Yuyin frowned. This won't do. Look at the Barrett Company over there. It's a sea of people. Your sniper rifle is obviously better than Barrett's sniper rifle, but why doesn't anyone recognize it? Tang Yuyin was indignant. She felt that there should be a lot of people here, but the reality was too different from what she had imagined. Charlotte was not in a hurry at all. He said with a smile, "This is the first time the Thunder Horse Military Factory has gone out of the country. I don't expect others to know the existence of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. This situation is very normal. Your goal is to use this international small arms exhibition to promote the reputation of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. If this goes on, you won't be able to achieve your goal even after the exhibition ends." "There's no hurry," Charlotte said. Tang Yuyin rolled her eyes at Charlotte. "The Emperor is not anxious, but the eunuch is anxious. This is your company, your gun. I really don't know why I'm anxious for you." Charlotte smiled, but he was still not anxious. He had already expected this situation. He also had a countermeasure in his mind. At this time, 2 Middle Eastern men with white scarves on their heads passed by the exhibition hall of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. They looked outside the door and then walked inside. The Middle Easterners were famous for being rich. Tang Yuyin smiled and greeted the 2 Middle Easterners in Arabic. "Hello, gentlemen. Please feel free to look around. Before Tang Yuyin could finish her sentence, Yi Kuen's female secretary, Chen Man, appeared at the door and greeted the 2 Middle Eastern men with a sweet voice. "Mr. Arafat, Mr. Rahman, so you're inside. Our chairman Yi is waiting for 2 distinguished guests." Surprisingly, Chen Man was also fluent in Arabic. It seemed that Yi Kuen's side was really full of talents. Even the secretaries who slept with him were the real deal. The 2 Middle Eastern men looked at each other. One of them seemed to remember Chen Man's identity, and a smile appeared on his face. "So it's Miss Chen Man, all right. Let's go." The 2 Middle Eastern men gave up on visiting the sniper rifles of the Thunder Horse Military Factory and left with Chen Man. Chen Man swaggered and rolled her eyes at Tang Yuyin and Charlotte, then walked forward to lead the way for the 2 Middle Eastern tycoons. "Damn it, this bitch." Tang Yuyin couldn't hold it in anymore. She wanted to rush up and argue with Chen Man, but Charlotte pulled her back. "She's just a dog by Yi Kuen's side. Who do you think you are? Do you have to be so calculative with her?" Charlotte said. Sigh, forget it. If you're not in a hurry, why should I be in a hurry?" Tang Yuyin was a little unhappy. Charlotte watched Chen Man bring the 2 Middle Eastern tycoons to the exhibition hall of the Hanwoo Weapons Company. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The exhibition hall of other companies was still bustling, but the Thunder Horse Military Factory was still deserted. Forget about the businessmen. There wasn't even a shadow. This situation fell into Tang Yuyin's eyes. Her cherry lips couldn't help but curl up again. "You're really heartless. You can still smile in this situation." "No, I'll find Ling Hao and ask him to think of something. I think he has a lot of ideas. He will definitely be able to help." In the exhibition hall, the only helper, Hu Hao, interrupted and said, "Section Chief Tang, Mr. Ling has gone out. I don't know where he is now." Tang Yuyin kicked him again. "Really, we can't count on any of them." She was so anxious that Charlotte was amused by her. Tang Yuyin glared at Charlotte. "What are you laughing at? Aren't you anxious?" Charlotte smiled. "Look at how anxious you are." "Well, I'll think of a way. I'll go out for a while. Help me look after this place." Tang Yuyin asked curiously what way. Charlotte said, "You'll know later." Charlotte walked to the exhibition hall of the Barrett Company. Tang Yuyin looked at Charlotte's back and couldn't help but ask, "Hu Hao, what do you think you will do?" Hu Hao shook his head. "I don't know, Section Chief Tang. I only know that you're anxious." "Why?" Then he smiled. "Section Chief Tang, don't tell me you've fallen in love with him?" Tang Yuyin glared at Hu Hao and said fiercely, "Are you making fun of your Section Chief Tang? Attention." Hu Hao stood up from his chair in an instant. "Just stand there. Don't sit," Tang Yuyin said. Hu Hao was speechless. Charlotte passed by the exhibition hall of the Hanwu Weapons Company. It was crowded and very lively. He also saw Yi Kuan and the two Middle Eastern tycoons. Shin Man was next to Yi Kuan as a translator, introducing a new rifle to the two Middle Eastern tycoons. One of Yi Kuan's bodyguards saw Xia Lei, who stopped in his tracks, and whispered into Yi Kuan's ear. Yi Kuan looked over and saw Charlotte. A mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Then, he handed the two Middle Eastern tycoons to Chun Man and walked over to Charlotte. "Hey, isn't this the famous Thunder Horse Military Factory's chairman Xia? Are you bored and wandering around?" Yi Kuan mocked. As he spoke, he glanced in the direction of the Thunder Horse Military Factory's exhibition hall. It was still deserted, and there was not even a ghost. This time, Charlotte was not anxious. He just said lightly, "Yes, I really have nothing to do, so I came out to take a look and learn from the experience of a big company." Experience can't be learned. Strength and foundation are the most important. Yi Kuan said sarcastically, "Your small military factory will probably have the opportunity and qualification to become a rival of the Hanwu Weapons Company in another 30 years. However, even if you can endure until that day, you will only fail." This was provocation, contempt, and disregard. Charlotte did not care. He still said lightly, "Is that so? My Thunder Horse Military Factory is indeed only a small company, but in my opinion, the Hanwu Weapons Company is not my competitor because you're not qualified." Ha ha ha. Yi Kuan could not help but laugh. Charlotte, my teacher said that you are a very arrogant person. Now I believe what my teacher said is true. However, your arrogance shows that you are ignorant. With your Thunder Horse Military Factory, do you think you are qualified to look down on our Hanwu Weapons Company? You should first make the scale of our Hanwu Weapons Company 1/10 of the scale of our Hanwu Weapons Company. Charlotte smiled. "I am telling the truth. You see, I am looking for a rival. I have not even considered your Hanwu Weapons Company. I am considering the Barrett Company, the Belgian FN Company, and the German HK Company. These internationally famous small arms companies are the opponents of my Thunder Horse Military Factory. A domestic company like yours is not worthy of being my opponent." Yi Kuan snorted coldly. "Dream on. Charlotte, I know your plan. You want to use this small arms exhibition to increase the popularity of your Thunder Horse Military Factory. I think you are dreaming. The truth is already in front of you. No one goes to your exhibition hall, no one pays attention to you, and no one cares about you. You only have one way, and that is to sell the Thunder Horse Military Factory to me. Forget it. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. I will show you the result." Charlotte said this and turned to walk towards the Barrett Company's exhibition hall. Yi Kuan snorted hatefully. "I want to see how you achieve your goal. Dream on." Charlotte did not even turn his head. Barrett's entire line of sniper rifles were displayed in the Barrett exhibition hall. The world-renowned M90, M95, and M99 sniper rifles were impressively on display, as well as the most prestigious M109 anti-material sniper rifle. Charlotte walked around the exhibition hall, but no one greeted him. The employees of the Barrett Company obviously classified him as a gun enthusiast. He liked the Barrett sniper rifle, but had no money to buy it, so they did not even bother to greet him. They were all businessmen with a large group of attendants. These people were their potential buyers. Charlotte stayed in the Barrett Company's exhibition hall for a while, then left the exhibition hall. He then went to the exhibition hall of FN Company in Belgium and the exhibition hall of HK Company in Germany. Finally, he went to the office area of the Moscow International Exhibition Center and spent a little tip to find a person in charge named Chekhov. Entering Chekhov's office, Charlotte went straight to the point and said, "Hello, Mr. Chekhov. I am the person in charge of the Thunder Horse military factory in China. I want to talk to you about a business deal." Chekhov looked at Charlotte with a strange look. "Thunder Horse military factory? I have never heard of it. What business do you want to talk to me about?" Charlotte said, "Of course it's a good business deal." Chekhov smiled. "Sir, if you are here to sell your company's guns, I ask you to leave here. You see, I have a lot of work to do. I don't have time to chat with you, and you are looking for the wrong person." Charlotte closed the office door behind him. Chekhov suddenly frowned. "What do you want?" Without waiting for Charlotte to answer, he reached for the phone on the table, ready to call security. Charlotte stepped forward and pressed his hand, saying, 50,000 euros for half an hour of your time. Chekhov suddenly looked at Charlotte with a horrified look. Charlotte smiled. "Don't get me wrong. I am not gay. What I mean is, I'll pay you 50,000 euros for the half an hour I've wasted of your time." Chekhov smiled. "Sir, what would you like to drink?" Chapter 393. There were many people in the exhibition hall of Hanwoo Weapons Company, but there were very few who had the intention to buy or place an order. It was lively, but there was no result. It was like performing on the street. There were many people watching and cheering, but when it was time to collect the money, everyone had left. "Chairman Yi, this isn't a solution." Chen Man said to Yi Kuan, "Why don't we use commission tactics? South American and African merchants like it." Yi Kuan said calmly, "What are you so anxious about? We have some orders. Look at the Thunder Horse Army factory. There's not even a shadow of a person. I really want to see what Charlotte looks like. What will his expression be like?" Yi Kuan didn't care about how many weapons he sold or how many orders he signed. What he cared about was the Thunder Horse Army factory. The situation in front of him was what he wanted to see the most. He was happier than signing any orders. Chen Man burst out laughing. "Chairman Yi, is there a need to say it? That Xia Lei would definitely have a bitter expression on his face at this moment. He's still too inexperienced to fight with you." Yi Kuan laughed. "He's just an ignorant brat. Does he really think he's a big shot? He even said that Hanwoo Weapons Company isn't qualified to be his opponent. His opponent is a company like Barrett. Now it seems like he's just an arrogant and ignorant fool." Chen Man said flatteringly, "Yes, he's an arrogant and ignorant fool. He still wants to compete with Barrett. Look at their exhibition hall. There are always people coming and going. It's even livelier than here. The sniper rifle produced by Barrett is the world's top sniper rifle. He doesn't even deserve to carry their shoes." Who's carrying whose shoes? At the entrance of Hanwoo Weapons Company's exhibition hall, Tang Yuyin happened to pass by on her way to find Charlotte. She stopped in her tracks and stared at Chen Man coldly. Chen Man laughed mockingly. "What does it have to do with you? Who is Charlotte to you?" Tang Yuyin was instantly enraged. She didn't dare to touch Yi Kuan. After all, Yi Kuan was the #1 person in a large national military factory. How could a secretary talk to her like that? How could she tolerate that? Tang Yuyin walked towards Chen Man. Her eyes were terrifyingly cold. Chen Man felt guilty and hid behind Yi Kuan. Yi Kuan sneered. "Yuyin, I advise you not to do this. Chen Man works for Hanwoo Weapons Company and is also my secretary. If you dare to touch her, I will call your boss and ask him how he teaches his subordinates." Tang Yuyin had a ball of fire in her heart, but she couldn't find a place to vent it. This kind of feeling was very uncomfortable. "Let's go back." Yi Kuan sneered. "Although the International Light Weapon Exhibition hasn't ended yet, I've already seen the results. At this time, you should comfort Charlotte. What he needs the most now is your comfort." Tang Yin said coldly, "Yi Kuan, don't laugh too early. The gunman in the hotel last night are also related to you. You better not let me find any evidence. Yi Kuan snorted coldly. Tang Yuyin, don't think that just because I have some friendship with your grandfather and father, you could talk nonsense. Let me tell you, if you say that again, I can sue you for slander. Let's wait and see. Let me give you a word of advice. Yi Kuan said, don't get too close to that brat Charlotte. Be careful not to draw fire to yourself. As soon as Yi Kuan's voice fell, the sound system of the Moscow International Exhibition Center suddenly sounded. Someone said, distinguished guests, distinguished exhibitors, I am the person in charge of this International Light Weapon Exhibition, Levansky Chekhov. I am now honored to announce a piece of news to everyone. Charlotte, the chairman of the Thunder Horse Military Factory from China, has offered Mr. Xia a prize of 20 million euros. If a company or individual's sniper rifle can beat the sniper rifle of the Thunder Horse Military Factory, the prize of up to 20 million euros will belong to whoever wins. If you lose, you don't have to pay anything. This challenge agreement is effective immediately. Subsequently, the sound system of the Moscow International Exhibition Center played the announcement in English, Arabic, Latin, and several other languages. The Moscow International Exhibition Center was suddenly in an uproar. For most of them, it was the first time they had heard of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. Most of them still had the concept of imitation goods in the military industry in China. They had never produced any top-notch sniper rifles. But in this context, an unknown small company in China had issued such a challenge. 20 million euros was not a small amount. If they won, they could get 20 million euros, and if they lost, they didn't have to pay a single cent. Who would refuse such a thing? Moreover, those internationally famous large arms companies valued their reputation more than anything else. In this international light weapon exhibition, there was actually someone who dared to issue such a challenge. Wasn't this looking down on them? What's more, it was a small, unknown company from Huan Nation. What company is that? That Charlotte, is he crazy? An employee of the Barrett Company laughed, looking very happy. If it was a German or Belgian company, they might be qualified to challenge our authority in the sniper rifle field. A China company, haha, what a joke. Made in China is a joke. Someone echoed, I believe that China produces socks and shirts, but who would believe that they produce top-notch sniper rifles? On the other side, an executive of the German HK company also laughed. Is that Chinaman Charlotte crazy? 20 million euros, who is he going to give it to? Not to mention challenging the authority of the Barrett Company in the sniper rifle field. Even our company's sniper rifle can beat the sniper rifle produced by his Thunder Horse Military Factory. One of his subordinates said, Mr. Mulleff, this may be the promotion plan of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. They deliberately put on such a show to show off and become famous. The executive of the HK company called Mulleff said, then let him pay for his arrogance. You go and accept this challenge. Our newly produced sniper rifle can also take this opportunity to show off in the media. I want everyone to know that we, Germany, are the king of manufacturing. On the Barrett Company's side, the executive Joe Barton also made the same decision and sent an employee of the Barrett Company to the office area to accept the challenge. The executive of the Belgian FN Company, Ilriva, also sent an employee of the FN Company to the office area to accept the challenge. The challenge had not yet begun, but the people in the exhibition hall had already rushed to the exhibition hall of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. In the exhibition hall of the Hanwoo Weapons Company, Tang Yuyin came back to her senses. She giggled. Charlotte, you're really something. I was anxious for you here, but I didn't expect you to already have an idea, and it's such a wonderful idea. Yi Kuan's face turned ugly because he knew the performance of the Thunder Horse Military Factory's XL 2500 sniper rifle. He also knew that if nothing unexpected happened, no one could beat Charlotte's XL 2500 sniper rifle. Chairman Yi, just wait and see, haha. Tang Yuyin laughed mischievously, then left the exhibition hall of the Hanwoo Weapons Company with exaggerated steps. In the exhibition hall of the Thunder Horse Military Factory, Hu Hao was already too busy. He wished he could have 8 mouths to explain the performance of the XL sniper rifle to the merchants. Tang Yuyin came back at the right time, and she also acted as the commentator for the Thunderhorse military factory. What? A merchant from Iran revealed a surprised expression. The effective range of this sniper rifle is 2,500 meters? How is that possible? There is absolutely no such sniper rifle in this world. Tang Yuyin smiled sweetly and spoke Arabic fluently. Sir, the effective range of 2,500 meters is actually not the highest value. In fact, its effective range is 2,600 meters, but there will be a slight error in that case. Hu Hao then translated Tang Yuyin's words into English so that more people could understand. The exhibition hall of the Thunderhorse military factory was suddenly filled with discussion. Some people exclaimed, some people questioned, and some people laughed, but no one believed it. At this time, Charlotte's voice came from the sound system of the Moscow Convention and Exhibition Center. He said in English, "Dear guests, I am Charlotte, and I am the one who issued this challenge." Now, there are Barrett Company of the United States, FN Company of Belgium, and HK Company of Germany willing to accept my challenge. In half an hour, we will have a sniper rifle competition on the rooftop of the Moscow International Convention and Exhibition Center. Interested guests can move to the rooftop to watch the competition. As soon as Charlotte's announcement was made, people quickly walked in the direction of the elevator and stairwell. A new military factory in China actually dared to challenge the authority of Barrett, FN Company, and HK Company in the world of light weapons. Such a thing must be seen. Not to mention that this was actually a bet of 20 million euros. The Iranian merchant who spoke to Tang Yuyin said, "If your gun really has an effective range of 2,500 meters, I want to place an order with your company. I am from the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and we are friendly friends with China." Tang Yuyin said, "This is up to our chairman Xia to decide. I suggest that you go to the rooftop to have a look." The Iranian merchant said, "Okay, I'll go now." At this time, Charlotte's voice came from the walkie-talkie on Tang Yuyin's body. "Yuyin, bring 2 guns up, one XL 2500 and the other gun a modified." "Got it. I'll come up right away." Tang Yuyin said to Hu Hao, "Hu Hao, stay here and watch. I'll bring 2 guns to the rooftop." Hu Hao said with a smile, "No problem, go ahead. Good luck." Tang Yuyin quickly packed up the 2 guns and a large box of ammunition that Charlotte wanted, then walked to the elevator. At the entrance of the Hanwu Weapons Company's exhibition hall, Yi Kuan looked coldly at Tang Yuyin and the engineering plastic box in her hand. Just now, he had been laughing at Charlotte and the Thunderhorse military factory, but at this time he could no longer laugh. In less than half an hour, the Thunderhorse military factory's XL 2500 would fire and shock the world. At that time, how could Hanwu Weapons Company block the Thunderhorse military factory? "Chairman Yi, should we go up and take a look?" Chen Man asked carefully. Yi Kuan seemed to have been stepped on. He flew into a rage and said, "What are you looking at? What's there to see? Hurry up and think of a way to destroy Charlotte's plan. Think of something quickly." Chen Man's lips moved. She wanted to say something, but she did not say it. In the face of this situation, what else could she think of? Chapter 394. The rooftop of the Moscow International Convention and Exhibition Center was crowded with people. Later, the security staff had to cut off the access to the rooftop, and no one was allowed to go up. The challenge had not yet begun, but Charlotte had already transferred 20 million euros to the account of the Moscow International Convention and Exhibition Center by bank transfer, and Chekhov had become the notary of this challenge. 50,000 euros was enough for him to do these things. Tang Yuyin handed the engineering plastic box containing the 2 sniper rifles to Charlotte. Charlotte opened the box and loaded the guns with skillful movements. Many media reporters took pictures of him, and these pictures would appear in the media around the world later. The snipers assigned by Barrett, HK, and FN were also in position. The executives of the 3 companies also came to the rooftop. The 3 executives wanted to see the strength of the XL 2500 sniper rifle, but they did not think that a sniper rifle produced by a China company could be that good. Mr. Xia, are we going to start like this? Ilriva, an executive of the Belgian FN company, walked in front of Charlotte and looked at Charlotte with a strange look. Charlotte was very friendly. Ms. Ilriva, I think it's okay. Mr. Chekhov has already prepared the targets for us. They're on the rooftop of a few buildings across the street. We can start any time. At this time, Chekhov held the walkie-talkie and said, "Erect the targets." Soon, a target was erected on a building opposite the Moscow International Convention and Exhibition Center. The straight-line distance was about 800 meters. There was a circle of glowing LED light lines on the target that could be seen from far away. "Are you kidding me?" Barrett's executive, Jobington, smiled disdainfully and said, "Even our company's product from 10 years ago can easily hit the target at such a distance. You're not going to use that target to test the performance of our sniper rifle, are you?" Mulev, an executive from the German HK company, also said, "Yes, if we all hit the target, how will we determine who wins?" Charlotte smiled and said, "What you see is just one of the targets. I took the performance of your sniper rifle into consideration, so I set up a target 800 meters away. I actually don't need it. I want to hit the targets 2,500 meters away and 3,200 meters away." The expressions of the executives of the three firearms giants changed instantly. Charlotte added, "The target further away is also on the rooftop of the building, but you need a professional sniper scope to see it." The three executives picked up their respective companies' most advanced observation equipment and looked into the distance. Sure enough, the three executives all saw the target in the distance. The targets were 1,500 meters away, 2,000 meters away, 2,500 meters away, and the targets that Xia Lei mentioned were 3,200 meters away. On the other side, Chekhov also invited some media reporters to observe the targets further away through an astronomical telescope set up on the rooftop. Those targets also had glowing LED coils on them, making them easy to spot. Some military enthusiasts also saw the targets furthest away through the telescope and began to discuss. "Oh my God, sniping from so far away. Even a bullet will take 3 or 4 seconds to fly. It's a myth to hit the target. It's probably impossible. This Chinese guy is very ambitious. He set up so many targets at different distances. He won't lose as long as he hits the targets that other companies have hit. That must be the case. Who would give away 20 million euros for free? 20 million euros. I should bring my Barrett M82A1 sniper rifle to participate in the challenge. Maybe I can win the money. In your dreams. This is a challenge between firearms companies. Private individuals are not qualified to participate." That's right. What's in it for him to win? If that Chinese guy can win against Barrett, I'm afraid the dominant position of sniper rifles will change owners. These discussions fell into the ears of Barrett's executive, Cho Barton. It was simply a kind of provocation and satire. "Mr. Xia," Cho Barton said, "before we start, we need to sign an agreement. If you lose, you have to pay the winner 20 million euros. Also, if you lose, you have to leave here and end the exhibition of whatever company ahead of time." Ilriva, an executive of Belgium's FN company, also said, "Yes, we have to add this. This farce should end early. This was an unfair agreement. If Charlotte lost, not only would he have to pay 20 million euros, but he would also have to end the exhibition of the Thunderhorse Army Factory ahead of time. But Barrett, FN, and HK would not lose anything." As soon as this agreement was proposed, the reporters all began to talk about it, feeling that it was unfair. But just when everyone thought that Charlotte would refuse, Charlotte smiled and said readily, "No problem. I can sign such an agreement." Chekhov then asked his people to draft the agreement, print out 4 copies, and send them to the rooftop. During this process, the snipers of Barrett, FN, and HK were also preparing, observing the wind speed, light and distance, and adjusting their sniper rifles. Charlotte signed the agreement, and Cho Barton, Mulev, and Ilriva also signed the agreement. The challenge then entered the final stage of preparation. The crowd of onlookers suddenly surged, and the crowd of onlookers was squeezed open to make a passage. Several security guards surrounded a tall blonde woman with blue eyes and a man carrying a camera to the competition venue. The woman held a microphone in her hand, with the logo of Russian national television on it. Russian national television was a television station that covered the entire Russian Federation and was also the largest television station in Russia, with extremely high ratings. The appearance of people from Russian national television here was an unexpected surprise for Charlotte. As soon as the stunning female host appeared on the stage, she went into work mode, held the microphone, and spoke to the camera. "Hello, everyone. I'm Natalia, and I'm now at the Moscow International Convention and Exhibition Center. A new arms company in China has openly challenged the authority of Western arms giants in the light arms world. It is reported that this Chinese company, Thunder Horse Military Factory, has invested 20 million euros. If he fails, he will pay the winning party a bonus of 20 million euros. This is a huge sum of money, and the three companies that accepted the challenge are Barrett, FN, and HK. These three companies are independent giants in the light arms world, who will get this huge bonus of 20 million euros. Let's wait and see." Obviously, the beautiful host from Russian national television, Natalia, was also not optimistic about Charlotte's victory. After all, he was going to challenge an international arms giant. They had been dominating this field for decades, while his Thunder Horse Military Factory was just a small, unknown company. "Can we start?" Cho Barton had lost his patience. This farce has been going on for long enough. Charlotte smiled faintly. "Then let's start. You guys go first so you can shoot all the targets. When your sniper and your sniper rifle come out, I'll shoot again and show everyone the performance of our company's XL-2500. Cho Barton snorted softly, then signaled the Barrett's sniper to shoot. The Barrett's sniper adjusted his position, locked on the target, and fired. He directly hit the target at a distance of 800 meters, and he hit the 9th ring. This was a very remarkable result. There was suddenly a round of applause on the rooftop, not only praising the strength of the Barrett sniper, but also praising the excellent performance of the Barrett's sniper rifle. The snipers of FN Company and HK Company also completed their shooting. FN Company's sniper hit the target at a distance of 800 meters, and HK Company's sniper actually hit the target at a distance of 800 meters, and HK Company's sniper actually hit the target at a distance of 10 meters. This result made Mulev, an executive of the German HK Company, smile on his face. He seemed to be confident that he could pocket the 20 million euro bonus. "It's your turn." Mulev glanced at Charlotte confidently. "Mr. Xia, you can also directly admit defeat to avoid unnecessary laughter." Charlotte was not angry at all, and he still maintained a gentle smile on his face. "Mr. Mulev, as I said, I'll wait for your sniper and sniper rifle to get the best results before I make my move. Please continue, and let your sniper shoot as far as he can." This tone, he simply did not put the three arms giants in his eyes. Mulev was too lazy to argue with Charlotte and signaled the HK's sniper to continue shooting. Bang, bang, bang. The snipers of the three arms giants continued to shoot at targets further away. From time to time, there was applause and praise on the rooftop, and the scene was very lively. At this time, Charlotte, who should have felt nervous, stood on the rooftop and accepted Natalia's interview. "Mr. Xia, why did you do such a thing? Can you tell me the reason?" Natalia stood next to Charlotte, and after she finished speaking, she put the microphone in front of Charlotte. Charlotte smiled and looked very natural. "I took out 20 million euros to issue the challenge just to prove to everyone that China's manufacturing is not just limited to socks and shirts. Our manufacturing has made new developments, and our level is not worse than the West. Take our company's XL-2500 sniper rifle, for example. I dare say it is the best sniper rifle in the world, and no one can surpass it." "Wow, Mr. Xia, I didn't expect you to speak Russian so well." Natalia smiled charmingly. "By the way, other companies have professional snipers, but I don't see anyone in your company. Who will shoot later?" "It's me. I'm also a sniper. Although I'm an amateur, I'm confident that I can finish the shot, Charlotte said. Amateur? Oh my God, those 3 companies sent out professional snipers. Charlotte said seriously, it's nothing. Our gun is good. It can make up for the gap in my skills. Tang Yuyin, who was standing next to Charlotte, couldn't help but want to kick Charlotte. If he was an amateur sniper, then were there still professional snipers in this world? Thinking of Charlotte in Afghanistan, where he single-handedly fought against an American Special Forces team, her face became hot. At this moment, there was a sudden cry of surprise on the rooftop. It turned out that the Barrett Company and the German HK Company snipers had hit the target at the 2-kilometer position, and both had hit the 5th ring. It seems that we have to split the prize money equally, Mulev said to Cho Barton with a smile. Cho Barton also smiled. He could accept this result. Mr. Xia, you can make your move now, Belgium's FN Company executive Ulriva said aloud. Chapter 395. When Ulriva asked Charlotte to make a move, the snipers and sniper rifles of the 3 companies had their final results. Among them, the Barrett Company's sniper hit the target at a distance of 2 kilometers with the extraordinary performance of the M90 sniper rifle and scored 5 points. The German HK Company's sniper also hit the target at a distance of 2 kilometers with the HK Company's new sniper rifle and also scored 5 points. The Belgian FN Company sniper was slightly worse and only hit the target at a distance of 1,500 meters. In fact, the Barrett Company and the HK Company snipers also tried to hit the target at a further distance, which was at a distance of 2,500 meters. Unfortunately, they did not succeed. The distance of 500 meters was already an insurmountable gap for them and their sniper rifles. As for the target at a distance of 3,200 meters, it was even more impossible to hit. However, they did not think that Charlotte could hit the target at that distance. Charlotte walked to the shooting position, and all eyes were focused on him. All kinds of discussions followed. This Chinese man is not a professional sniper, but he dares to issue such a challenge. He will definitely lose the 20 million euros. Isn't Chinese like this? They like to show off their wealth, but using 20 million euros to show off is too stupid. This Chinese man will definitely fail, but he also achieved his goal. He and his company will become the headlines of major media. Haha. But he and his company will become a joke. China is still importing weapons from Russia. Can China's weapons surpass the Western arms giants? This is simply a joke. They can't even surpass our Russian weapons. He is so handsome. Amidst the messy discussion, Charlotte stood in the shooting position, put an unmodified sniper rifle on the gun rack that allowed a sniper to stand and shoot, and then prepare to shoot. He actually did not need this kind of gun rack to assist in shooting, but he just said that he was not a professional sniper. If he held a sniper rifle and hit the target that others could not hit, then he would be exposed. This was also his strategy. He made himself look like an amateur sniper, which could set off the superiority of the XL 2500. Mr. Xia, please hurry up. You've been dawdling long enough. This farce should be over, Jabatin urged. Mulev of Germany's HK Company also said with a smile, Mr. Xia, I've prepared the account to receive the transfer. Bang! A gunshot rang out. This was Charlotte's response. He hit the 10th ring on the 800-meter target, a gun enthusiast exclaimed in front of the telescope. This result was the same as Barrett Company and HK Company. Mulev and Cho Barton couldn't help but look at each other with surprise in their eyes. The reason was simple. Even if it was a target that was 800 meters away, to be able to hit 10 points meant that the XL 2500 sniper rifle in Charlotte's hands was an excellent sniper rifle. Bang! Another gunshot rang out. Wow! Someone exclaimed. He hit the 10th ring on the 1500M target. The rooftop suddenly became deathly silent. Cho Barton, Mulev, and Ulriva's faces also became solemn. The snipers of the 3 arms giants also became inexplicably nervous. Bang! A third gunshot rang out. My God! Someone exclaimed. He hit the 10th ring on the 2,000-meter target. As soon as this person's voice fell, the rooftop exploded. How is this possible? The sniper rifles of the three arms giants only hit the 5th ring, but he hit the 10th ring. This result has surpassed the three arms giants. My God, China's sniper rifles have actually reached this level? I can't believe it. Natalia, the host of Russian state television, was even more emotional. I can't believe my eyes. A sniper rifle of a China company actually hit the 10th ring on the 2,000-meter target, surpassing the sniper rifles of Barrett Company and HK Company. Now, there is a popular saying in the world that China has risen and challenged the hegemony of Europe and America. I now completely believe this saying. What happened in front of us can be seen as a microcosm of this saying. A China military factory challenged the three arms giants of Europe and America, and won so beautifully. No, 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 the challenge is not over yet. Let's wait and see. Bang! A fourth gunshot rang out. Charlotte hit the 2,500-meter target with one shot, and the result was still a shining 10th ring. After the executives of the three arms giants saw the result with their observation equipment, their mouths were wide open. Just before Charlotte shot, they were still fantasizing about the €20 million prize, but now they realized that they could not get that money at all. That money was just a bait from beginning to end. My God, Natalia shouted excitedly. The 10th ring on the 2,500-meter target. This is a miracle, a new record in the sniper world. However, this was not the end. Charlotte put down the XL 2500 produced by the Thunder Horse military factory and switched to his own modified XL 2500 sniper rifle. What is he doing? Is he going to shoot the 3,200-meter target? Natalia was also shocked. If he succeeds, my God, I'm afraid I will have to announce that the best sniper rifle in the world is the sniper rifle produced by China's Thunder Horse military factory. Bang! A muffled sound and smoke drifted. The rooftop was silent, waiting for someone to announce the result. The first to speak was not the gun enthusiast standing in front of the telescope, but the Barrett Company sniper. He hit the 3,200-meter target, eight rings. Clatter. The rooftop exploded again. Applause, exclamations, and all kinds of discussions and praises flooded towards Charlotte. Charlotte put away the sniper rifle. He looked relaxed and smiled. I've finished shooting. If you're not convinced, you can try again. If you can hit the farthest target, I will still pay you the €20 million prize. Cho Barton and Mulleff could not help but look at each other. They did not speak, and their faces were full of shame. They were very clear about the performance of their sniper rifles. Not to mention the 3,200-meter target, they wouldn't even be able to hit the 2,500-meter target. The effective range of the Thunder Horse military factory's XL 2500 was 1,200 meters ahead of the sniper rifles of the Barrett Company and the German HK Company. Just this data alone was enough to announce one thing. That was, the world's best sniper rifle was no longer produced by European and American countries, but by China. China's Thunder Horse military factory rose to fame after this battle. So, gentlemen, and Ms. Ilriva, can I announce that I've won? Charlotte looked very polite and elegant. But this politeness and elegance fell into the eyes of Mulleff, Cho Barton, and Ilriva like a kind of sarcasm. You won. I have to admit that, said Cho Barton. But I want to buy your gun. I want to see what's going on, Cho Barton said. Charlotte said, you can buy my gun, but you have to get the approval of our government. What? Cho Barton suddenly frowned. If you don't want to sell it, why are you participating in the exhibition? Charlotte smiled. Mr. Cho Barton is an American, right? So what? Cho Barton looked unhappy. Charlotte said, then let me answer your question. There are weapons exhibitions every year in the world. Will the weapons on display be sold? Then I want to buy your Raptor F-22 fighter. Will you sell it? And Mr. Mulleff, I want to buy your German Leopard 2 tank. Will you sell it? You blocked the technology first. My sniper rifle also has our professional technology. It will not be open to you. Let's go. Cho Barton didn't want to talk to Charlotte anymore. Mulleff also called his people to leave the rooftop. Of the three arms giants, the one who suffered the most in this challenge was actually the Barrett Company. Because they were recognized as the leader of the sniper rifle world, They had unchallenged authority in this field. However, a small unknown company in China had knocked the Barrett Company off its pedestal. The people of the Three Arms Giants left the rooftop one after another. At this time, the last thing they wanted was to be exposed to the media. This was simply a shame for them. Mr. Xia, can you introduce your company to me? Natalia would not let go of the opportunity to interview Charlotte. Charlotte stood in front of the camera with a smile on his face. Of course I'm willing. Our Thunderhorse Military Factory is a new firearms company. It is a manifestation of the progress of China's manufacturing industry. Speaking with assurance, calm and magnanimous, Charlotte had a very comfortable temperament and demeanor under the camera. Tang Yuyan looked at Charlotte. She didn't realize that her eyes were a little dazed. Ling Hao appeared behind Tang Yuyan and said, "This guy is really smart." Tang Yuyan looked at Ling Hao and said, "Where did you go? We were so busy just now. We wanted to ask you for help, but we couldn't find anyone. I wanted to find out where Charlotte went the day before yesterday." Ling Hao said. Tang Yuyan suddenly frowned. "You know," Ling Hao said, "is that strange? What did you find out?" Tang Yuyan asked tentatively. Ling Hao shook his head. "I didn't find anything. So, I said that Charlotte is too smart. Are you a friend or an opponent? Is that important?" Tang Yuyan looked straight at Ling Hao. "Tell me," Ling Hao said lightly. "Of course we're friends. At least, we're friends now." Tang Yuyan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "Then why did you secretly investigate him?" Ling Hao said. "I'm too curious about him. Don't you think he's unpredictable?" "Sometimes, but I believe him. He's a good man. Since I knew him, he hasn't done anything wrong to our country. On the contrary, he's contributed a lot to our country. This is an example. Can you expect the National Hanwu Weapons Company to do what he did?" A smile appeared on Ling Hao's face. "It's because of this that I'm his friend, not his opponent. However, even if I'm a friend, I have to know what kind of friend he is. Don't you want to know him too?" Tang Yuyan stopped talking. Her eyes returned to Charlotte. Just then, Natalia, the female host of the Russian national television, suddenly kissed Charlotte's cheek. Tang Yuyan frowned, and a small voice came out of her mouth, "Slut." Chapter 396. The three European and American arms giants were defeated by an unknown, small military factory in China. This matter swept the world like a storm. Charlotte's name also appeared on major web portals, Yahoo, Google, NetEase, Sina, on the search engine. The search ranking for the keyword Charlotte also rose like a rocket. And this was just the beginning. With the deep digging of major media, Charlotte was destined to become a global hot topic during this period of time. Not for anything else, but because he used brute force to reverse the outside world's prejudice against Made in China. Also, he was very handsome. As night fell, Moscow was brightly lit. It was a unique scene in Eastern Europe. However, there were not many pedestrians and cars on the streets at night, and it looked deserted. This seemed to have something to do with Russia's current poor economic situation. People did not have extra money to spend. Cheers! In a high-end restaurant, Natalia, the hostess of Russia's national television, raised her glass to Charlotte. She was wearing a red evening dress with a low chest and bare shoulders, and her deep V-shaped cleavage was particularly attractive. She also had a charming smile on her face. "To your victory." Charlotte smiled, raised his glass, and gently clinked it, then drank the red wine in the glass. Natalia then picked up a bottle of Lafite and continued to pour wine for Charlotte. Charlotte smiled and said, "Miss Natalia, are you trying to get me drunk?" Natalia looked at Charlotte charmingly, and her voice was also soft, as if it had been soaked in honey. "Mr. Xiao, what do you mean? You are a man. Are you afraid of getting drunk? Even if you're drunk, are you still worried that I will do something to you?" This seemed to be a hint, and it was a little explicit. In Charlotte's memory, his old classmate Qi Jingxiu was probably also a coquettish and charming woman. But Qi Jingxiu was like heaven and earth compared to Natalia in front of him. They were worlds apart. After being teased by Natalia, his left, I was like a bad boy, violently pouncing on her chest, tearing apart the high-grade fabric and making intimate contact with the two snow-white peaks. "It's a little dark," Charlotte sighed in his heart. That feeling was like seeing a flaw in a beautiful piece of jade. He felt that it was a pity that there was a fly in the ointment. "Mr. Xia, why aren't you saying anything?" Natalia stared straight at Charlotte. Charlotte retracted his gaze and coughed dryly. "Well, thank you for interviewing me. To be honest, your interview has increased the attention of our company. How are you going to thank me?" Charlotte smiled. "This meal is on me. Also," he took out an envelope from his pocket and gently placed it in front of Natalia. "This is a small token of my appreciation. Please accept it." The reason why he was sitting here having dinner with Natalia was because Natalia had specially given him an interview after challenging the three magnates in the arms industry. The place of the interview was the studio of the Russian National Television Tower. He had to show his appreciation for such a big gift, so he had prepared 20,000 euros in the envelope before coming to this high-end restaurant. Natalia conveniently put the envelope in her handbag, then took off her high heels and slowly extended them to Charlotte's feet. Charlotte's body suddenly stiffened. He thought that Natalia had accidentally extended her feet, but he didn't expect that Natalia's feet would climb up his calf, and when it reached his knee, she extended it straight forward. He looked down and saw a jade-like foot in silk stockings. It was as smooth as a water snake, heading straight for him. "Miss Natalia," Charlotte instantly became nervous. Natalia pursed her lips and smiled faintly. She didn't say anything, but her foot had already reached the final destination. She gently rotated the sole of her foot, and the frequency was like a juicer squeezing out soy milk. What else was there to say about such an action? Perhaps even a pig would understand what she wanted. But Charlotte was really pretending. He coughed. "Miss Natalia, what are you trying to do?" Natalia slightly curled her lips. "You really know how to pretend. I'll see how long you can pretend for." Charlotte could have gotten up and left, but thinking that she had just given him a big gift and that he would need her help in the future, he hesitated. He didn't want to rashly offend her, but if he let her do as she pleased with her skills, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to stand it for long. For a moment, he looked serious on the surface, but in reality, he was sitting on pins and needles. "Mr. Xia, there's a hotel behind this restaurant. The rooms there are very good. I'm a little drunk. Why don't you send me to rest?" Natalia took the initiative to invite him. Charlotte braced himself and said, "This." Just then, Tang Yuyan walked in from the entrance of the dining room. She glanced at Tang Yuyan and quickly walked over. Seeing Tang Yuyan, Natalia quickly retracted her foot. Her feet had retreated, but Xia Lei had set up a majestic tent at his place. Charlotte heaved a sigh of relief and quickly called out to Tang Yuyan. "Yuyan, you haven't eaten yet, right? Let's eat together." Tang Yuyan glared at Charlotte and said snappily, "You're still eating at a time like this. Our child has a fever. Hurry up and come with me to the hospital." She spoke in English, deliberately for Natalia to understand. "Huh?" Charlotte dropped the fork in his hand on the table. Since when did he and Tang Yuyan have a child? Natalia also looked at Tang Yuyan in shock, not daring to believe that this was true. "Miss Natalia, I'm sorry, my husband can't accompany you anymore," Tang Yuyan said seriously. "It's fine. The child is more important." Natalia said, "Why don't I go with you to see?" "No need. No need." Tang Yuyan flatly refused. "We could do it ourselves." Charlotte got up and apologized. "Miss Natalia, I'm sorry. I'll go first." "Well, goodbye," Natalia said politely, but in her heart, she was depressed. Why did all the good men get married so early? Walking out of the restaurant, the awkward situation between Charlotte's legs disappeared. He smiled and said, "Yuyan, when did we even have a child? Even if you want to help me out, you don't have to be so cruel, do you?" "Do you think I want to say that?" "Dream on." Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. "You should have heard of the saying, those who are unaccountably solicitous are hiding evil intentions. This Natalia first interviewed you and then seduced you to sleep with her. Her motive is not simple. Russian female spies are very powerful. If you don't pay attention, you'll fall into her trap." "Is she a spy?" Charlotte was surprised. Even if she's not a spy, she must have been instructed by a big shot in Russia, said Tang Yuyan. Ling Hao told me that before Natalia interviewed you, she had been in contact with a big shot in the Russian military. For safety's sake, you must avoid her. What does she want from me? You're now our national treasure. President Shi called me and praised you, saying that you've won glory for the country and the higher-ups are very happy. As a matter of fact, he ordered me to protect you no matter what. He also specifically reminded me to keep an eye on you and not let the Russian woman abduct you. He said that if you want to find a wife, you must find a woman from our own country in China. Don't let the goodies flow to outsiders. Charlotte was speechless. Boren was probably drunk from being too happy to give such an order, and Tang Yuyan carried it out without any hesitation. That's why the scene just now happened. Boren said in front of Natalia that she and his child had a fever, using this method to drive away Natalia, who wanted to seduce Charlotte to sleep with him. Is this the case? Charlotte didn't know, but his head was already dizzy. At the same time, South Korea, the U.S. naval base in Jinhai. In a conference room, an LCD monitor was playing a picture. In the picture, Charlotte stood straight with a gun, aiming at the target, and then everyone on the stage exclaimed. This was the picture of Charlotte shooting the 3,200-meter target. It had been played more than a dozen times in this conference room. A burly black man pressed the remote control in his hand, and the picture on the LCD monitor finally froze on Charlotte's face. Charlotte's face in the still picture was calm, and no one could tell what he was feeling at that moment. This black man was called Landsbig, the CIA's Asia director. He had taken over the mission to target Charlotte from the CIA's Middle East director, Goodson. Liang Xiao was also in this conference room. She looked at Charlotte on the LCD monitor, and although she looked calm on the surface, her feelings were extremely complicated. At this time, she also had a fantasy in her heart. If I didn't join the CIA, and I'm not an intelligence officer, we would be a very happy couple, right? He achieved such an honor. If I were by his side, would he kiss me? Landsbig broke the silence in the conference room. Liang Xiao, you've been with Charlotte for a long time, and you know him the best. Tell me, how did he do it? Liang Xiao came back to her senses and shook her head. How would I know? Didn't Charlotte say in this video that China's manufacturing level has improved? Landsbig said, we all know how high China's manufacturing level is. There's no need to discuss it. And I'm sure that even the United States can't make a sniper rifle with an effective range of 3,200 meters. I have an intuition that the XL 2500 sniper rifle made by Lima Military Factory has nothing to do with China's manufacturing level. It's all Charlotte's ability. Liang Xiao didn't answer. Landsbig said again, Charlotte is in Russia, which is our forbidden zone. It's almost impossible to carry out a big operation. However, I've received a new mission. Liang Xiao, find a way to get an XL 2500 sniper rifle. The military wants to study it. Me? Liang Xiao suddenly frowned. Landsbig said, you have a month's time. Get ready. You mean I should go to China? Liang Xiao was a little angry. The people in 101 innings are already suspicious of me. If I show up in China, do I still need to explain the consequences? Landsbig shrugged. I don't care. If you can't complete the mission, your position will be revoked. Umph. Liang Xiao pushed the chair away and left. She slammed the door on her way out. As soon as Liang Xiao left, Landsbig said, well, let's discuss how to deal with Charlotte now. In the corridor outside the door, Liang Xiao's lips curled into a smile. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.